Our MC spent his days building and farming, turning empty land into cozy homes through nonstop hard work. Fate grants him a second life, reborn not as a builder, but a knight in shining armor ready for the new world's trials. Transported to a world with different laws, his clothes transform, every detail screaming power and responsibility. Work finished, fate strikes again. Life's now a non-stop gauntlet with zero time to breathe. Now he's at a quiet country home center, but odd jobs and new faces keep every day exciting. It sits right next to a shop smelling of fresh food and treats. On the side, he delivers goods across the district, knowing every path and house by heart. This job keeps him at the center of village life. Beyond deliveries, he handles every request. He's the town's go-to guy and never turns down a job. He keeps the farm running, fixing gear and tending gardens with hands that revive broken tools. Slammed with work, our hero barely breathes. He's out of time, but he doesn't complain. He loves the grind. Grateful crowds cheer the hero, their smiles fueling his journey and proving he's finally needed. He's exhausted, but life's worth it. Every day, he finds a spark of joy that warms his soul. After a brutal all-nighter, our hero leaves work totally drained. Eyes heavy and mind racing, his body screams for rest, but he stays on high alert. Vision blurring, he nearly collapses, but sheer will keeps him standing. Everything's about to change. Suddenly, he's warped into the unknown as reality dissolves, sliding through space and time toward a mystery destination. He was stunned. Everything felt like a dream as his mind struggled to process this new reality. His clothes hang loose, a relic of his old life. He's been chosen for a new world of legendary glory. His pants fail, but he smiles through the chaos. This awkward moment marks his leap into the unknown, and he's ready to embrace his fate. Floating like an angel, this glowing girl brings peace and courage, guiding everyone into a new world. Victinius revealed Alstasia, defining his new destiny. The epic starts now. Shocked by his rebirth, his body and mind evolve as he prepares to crush fate and claim greatness. He's pulled from a dream as reality bleeds through a thick fog, leaving everything a blurry mess. He spotted twitching rabbit, ears under the hair, a living part of a new body he couldn't believe. He bolts up in a dense, living forest. Branches rustle overhead, and he instantly feels like a total outsider. He feels his new ears, the soft texture proving it's no dream. This world is finally accepting him. Nearby, he spots a girl with matching bunny ears, a fellow rabbitkin looking friendly but totally confused. He's reborn, ditching his past as his mind and body transform for a new life, leaving him feeling totally conflicted. He lands in Alstasia, a new world of wonder and danger. Reality hits, the past is dead, new trials await, and he's caught between pure dread and total hype. Restarting with zero memories is a massive shock, but he has no choice. Time to lock in. Rabbit Girl has her own path to walk. With a sad, knowing look, she prepares for the final goodbye. Terrified of being alone, he begged to join her, his voice cracking with a raw, desperate plea for support. She warns him if they find out he's human, they'll go crazy. He's an outsider here and needs to watch his back. The hero learns the world's brutal truth. Everyone is an enemy, forcing him to question his own nature. Humans rule other races with cruelty, sparking a societal war that traps our hero in the crossfire. He asks for a favor, but a rustle in the bushes stops him cold. He's not alone, and the air reeks of menace. A goblin bursts from the bushes, sending the girl recoiling in terror, her first real threat in this new world. Terrified, she screams for the hero to flee the goblin. There's no time to think. Hero baits the goblin so the girl can escape. Heart racing, he readies for a fight for survival. Luring the goblin away to save the village, the hero battles a storm of fear and duty. He moved on pure instinct. The girl escaped, leaving him to face the danger alone. Fate was testing him. The goblin strikes hard, pain flaring. Time slows, tension peaks, and the hero readies for a fight to survive. He hurls bottles to survive, weaponizing junk in a brutal, desperate struggle for his life. His strength fades as death nears. Darkness creeps in, but his inner fire still burns. Hope isn't dead yet. The goblin slips on a bottle, giving our hero a split-second opening to survive. The goblin cracks his skull and dies. Silence kills the chaos, leaving the hero exhausted but relieved. An annoying smack hits the hero's head, and he whips around in shock. He turns to face the majestic Lady Victinius, her mysterious gaze radiating pure power. She grants him new skills for the trials ahead, marking a new chapter as he feels the power surging within. They warp to the goddess's sanctuary, and the hero's ready for his orders. Victinius explains the hero's true purpose with total authority, spilling every secret. She reveals his new persona is 20, the prime of strength and potential. Dream or reality, panicked and lost, he desperately hunts for something real to hold on to. The goddess grants him divine protection, proving he's not alone on this journey. He snags 3 skilled tickets, vital for survival and a massive responsibility. Victinius is sure the hero will find the right skills, betting on his wisdom and potential. A girl grabs the goddess, revealing they need 8 tickets and sparking total confusion. Hera busts the girl's lie, sparking a clash that reveals a game-changing truth. Goddesses retreat to talk, leaving the hero waiting as the situation spirals. Hera begs mercy for Victinius to restore balance, showing true wisdom and heart. He listens close, his fate now bound to divine secrets as a new world of truth unfolds. Hera reveals a divine pact controlling destiny and world power, shattering his view of reality. She recounts Goddess Victinius's epic saga, a dramatic clash where she defied every rule. The goddess hoarded the skill tickets for herself, sparking a divine war as greed for power tore them apart. Victinius breaks down in bitter regret, finally showing her human side. A skill machine appears, a mysterious device that unlocks new abilities. As an apology, the gods grant him 10 tickets, proving their trust and supercharging his growth potential. Victinius gets sarcastic, spitting sharp, resentful words, and making no effort to hide her irritation. Hero spins the skill wheel, praying for a jackpot. Every turn is pure hype, promising game-changing powers. He unlocks the evaluation skill, seeing the true value of everything and changing his world forever. He masters stoneworking and dismantling, essential survival skills that cement his status in this new world. Behind him, the gods whisper, trashing his skills and exposing the complex divine hierarchy. Ashamed of his low rank, they call him a failure, but he's got massive potential. Our hero's mastered carpentry, giving him the perfect foundation to start building solo. The gods send the hero to the lower world for trials, a vital step to forge his strength through new challenges. Mrs. Victinius begs him to survive, joking about wasting tickets while hiding her real fear for his life. He fought for survival, proving his resolve and justifying his actions to the gods. Armed with expert advice and newfound power, he's finally ready to crush the trials ahead. Hero slays his first goblin in this new world, a massive win that ignites a surge of confidence and power. He opens his status window, finally able to manage his skills and track his progress. Rumi waits for the girl, his new lifeline. He needs an ally, and she's the only support he has in this world. She's not human, she's a rabbit. This revelation expands his worldview as he starts embracing his diverse new reality. Behind Victinius looms Hera, the goddess of power and wisdom, commanding respect as she pulls every string. The hero is finally free, no more rules or obligations. His destiny is his own, and his life is now in his own hands. Rabbit Girl and the archers rally to the hero with thanks. He's finally found allies, he's not alone anymore. She tearfully hugs him in pure gratitude, touching his heart and deepening their bond. The goblin's murder leaves the archers reeling, peace is shattered, and things just got deadly serious. Narumi breaks down the truth, detailing his moves until everything finally clicks. Seeking peace, he asks to join the village, a vital step to becoming part of this new world. The archers explain the plan on the move, proving their loyalty and cementing the bond. They lead him to the chief with respect, and he finally feels their trust. Rabbits lead him to the seat of power. A new chapter begins, and now he must earn their trust. Hero thanks her for the support, and their bond grows even stronger. May reveals her name, bridging the gap and signaling a fresh start. The name rings a bell. He's hooked. This means something. Hero introduces himself to build trust, sparking a new friendship. They shake on it, sealing an alliance to move forward and back each other up. Determined and hopeful, Nader Dumi Masaru starts a new life of adventure and trials. The hero recounts his past life, a blur of regret and distant, unreal memories. A lady's voice changed his fate forever, granting him a new life and sparking a legendary adventure full of trials. She sent him to Alstetia, a world of secrets. He felt a rush of power and dread. Lacking an attack skill for the fight, he's left vulnerable and spiraling with doubt. Memories of a specific goblin flashback, sparking fear and curiosity as the hero questions their shared fate. He found a fresh start in a peaceful rabbit village. It's home now, and though he's accepted, he's still an outsider. Safe and sheltered, Masaru's relief turned into hope, fueling his drive to keep moving. The massive village was teeming with life, simple yet complex, with every corner hiding a deep history. The residents eyed the hero, judging his every move. Wary but curious, he felt the weight of their doubt and hope. May says 100 people live here, a diverse but tight-knit crew that looks out for their own. The hero stepped up for the locals, realizing they needed his help. This new responsibility gave him a true sense of purpose. He maps the village against Earth's history, using familiar patterns to navigate this new world. He meets the elder first to build trust and prove he's an ally looking for peace. The young elder waited in the tent, listening closely. The air was heavy. This was his first official meeting with the local authorities. Masaru's stunned by the headman's age, while the chief is shocked the hero is human. This mutual surprise breaks the ice, forging an instant bond. They trade thanks, sparking a new alliance and friendship built on mutual respect. The chief gave him a home and his trust. Finally, he was part of something bigger. He sent the hero to live in May's tent to help her and her mother. Father dead, family desperate, our hero sees his chance to finally be useful. He blushed, worried the closeness bothered me, showing his true kindness. May didn't object, she understood. Relief washed over the hero as their bond grew even stronger. Hero thanks me for her trust. Her support fuels his confidence and tightens their bond. The elder ends the talk. Meeting over, plans set. It's time to move, and our hero is ready for the next challenge. Tasked to save the village, he carries their hope and a chance to finally prove his worth. The hero tests his powers and pushes his limits to define his new path. Awakening his hidden potential, he finally has the resolve to step up and help. Armed with skills to build and defend, the hero was ready to transform the village. Masaru pitches his village-saving plans to the chief, honoring tradition to unlock a new era. He aimed to upgrade the village and boost living standards, his passion for prosperity firing up everyone. His insane energy stuns the hares. They didn't expect this much fire from a rookie, sparking respect and hope for the future. Wary of chaos, the elder tracks the hero's every move, waiting to see if these changes backfire. The headman fears 2 sudden moves will trigger a panic, shattering the community's peace. He senses the village's hidden anxiety. Locals fear change, staying cautious and keeping their heads down. Masari's finishing his past life's mission, protecting the village and rewriting its fate, crushing every doubt in his way. The hero vows to protect the village with his life, his unwavering confidence inspiring everyone around him. Masaru seeks official approval to improve the village while honoring local traditions. The elder scrutinizes the hero's village upgrades, weighing the risks and rewards of every practical detail. The elder cautiously greenlights Masar, knowing this plan could save the village and change everything. The hero's already got a plan. He's sizing up the village and his powers, mapping out his first moves. He's locked in. Hero hits the woods to master his powers, using the isolation to experiment and learn. The hero scans his talent window. Knife in hand, he analyzes his skills to master their mechanics and map out his growth. Masaru skips the training. His past life skills trigger automatically, letting him jump straight into the action. The hero chops wood barehanded to train. He channels energy into his palms, and finally, he sees results. The tree's cut is so clean it's invisible, proving his master control. He celebrates the win. A massive tree crashes at his feet, reacting to Masaru's new power. He shudders, then feels a surge of inspiration. Nature itself is acknowledging his awakening. He's leveling up for max power and range, setting strict goals fueled by pure grit. Hero tackles construction to upgrade the village, knowing better buildings mean a better life and new possibilities. He carves a stone into a cube with his bare hands, testing his precision to find his power's limit. The stone morphs into a perfect cube, skill confirmed. Now he can craft building materials. Next, he dries wood to test his gift, pushing his training to the next level. With skill levels tied, the hero stacks abilities for max power, mastering total control over his energy. He tests every wood-drying method, hunting for the perfect balance of speed, safety, and low cost. He analyzes industrial drying tech, looking to adapt the construction method to his own powers. Masaru's chasing instant wood drawing to slash work times and make village life easy. Hero grinds to master instant drying, testing new techniques through brutal trial and error. He's fearless and locked on his goal. May finds Masara in the forest and forces a lunch break. She's his rock during the stress, and he finally feels her care. Seeing the hero down, she panics and rushes to wake him. Her desperate care proves vital. Safe and back in business, he's stronger than ever and ready for a fresh start. Masaru's high-cost magic drained him dry, but he refused to break, using pure grit to push past his limits. He dried the wood, proving his powers work and fueling his confidence. Small wins build heroes. Drying's done, he and me head home relieved, planning their future in total peace. Mama May greets them with a caring eye, her instant warmth making the guest feel right at home. They swap names and village stories, sparking a bond built on trust. May recounts the hero's rescue, winning Lulu's respect and cementing her faith. Lulu gave everything to help her new friend, sharing their worries as a sign of total acceptance. They shared a warm meal and planned their future, kicking off a brand new chapter for our hero. Dreaming of a fresh start, the hero vows to improve this world, pushing forward with total resolve. He studied the locals to maximize his impact, focusing on practical fixes and community support. He starts upgrading the village, pouring his knowledge into a master plan. This is his new mission. Next day, the rabbits swarm the fence to plan their defense. Hype is high, the stakes are clear, and the heroes are ready to work. Masaru fortified the settlement, engineering a massive wall that fired up the whole crew. The guards were hyped for the plan but feared the unknown. Security overhauls always sparked tension, and their nerves were justified. They questioned the fence, but Masaru's focus on safety won them over. Masaru used his powers to forge a massive stone wall, focusing entirely on making it an unbreakable defense. Scouting the cliff's endless stones, the heroes planned ahead to finish the job in record time. Some rabbits doubted their strength, so Masaru stepped in to back them up. Facing his fear, he started building. His grit inspired the others, bringing them one step closer to the goal. Masaru pulls a mountain of stones from his inventory. The massive supply shocks the villagers and boosts their confidence. He's ready. Hares grabbed tools and assigned roles to build the wall. Energy was high, and everyone was locked in for the team effort. Everyone jumped into action, rebuilding the village in perfect sync as Masaru confidently led the charge. Fearing his wall would crumble, Masaru reinforced every stone for maximum stability, setting a perfect example. Hero's new stone-laying method adds stability, winning the locals' support and fueling their faith in success. The wall stood firm against wind and war, a stone shield built to last. Masaru was satisfied. He explained the stone layout was for defense. The villagers finally got it, and trust was earned. Heroes upgrading the fence, aiming for a massive, stylish fortress. Big plans are in motion. They brainstormed using pebbles to patch the wall, and the residents' ideas made the plan a total success. Masaru's fiery speech rallies the rabbits, igniting their resolve to embrace change and fight as one. Keeping his word to help every citizen, his sincerity ignites the people's spirit. He admits he's a bad teacher and asks for patience. This raw honesty wins the crowd over. May's mom smiled at Masaru's wild energy, jokingly probing his thoughts while clearly intrigued by the hero. Hero wants to help cook, so he builds a stove to make life easier. New quest unlocked. He's building a durable, user-friendly stove. He's mastered the tech and materials, obsessing over every detail. The women demand a rush job on the oven, and their hype fires Masaru up to prove he's worth their trust. He accepted the mission instantly, vowing to succeed. His unshakable resolve earned him total respect. When actually their request was heard, eyes sparkling, the women knew they'd win. Is perfect. Wait, the women were happy to see that their request had. Masaru builds the stove with surgical precision, flying through every step with total confidence. He recruits the women to speed things up. Their teamwork pays off, uniting the village. The female rabbits had his back. Hero lists the materials, explaining the perfect mix. Tech precision is everything. Clay, grass, and sand make a tough oven. The hero explains why, and the women finally get it. He perfected the mix for a rock-solid stove, obsessing over every detail for immediate results. May organized a crew to scavenge supplies, deploying them to key locations to streamline the entire operation. Women swarmed him for help, and his expert advice made his reputation skyrocket. A woman asks Masaru for forks and spoons. Small comforts matter, so he finds a way to get them fast. He calculated the mana for his items. Energy was limited, so he planned every move. He asked for a few days to execute the plan perfectly. No room for errors, patience was everything. The villagers were dying to know about his past and skills. Their interest was real, and Masaru told his story without any hype. He hid his true power and played the ordinary guy, making the villagers see him as just a simple man. Back to the grind, Masaru pushed the men to work for the village, backing them with support and advice as the community grew stronger. The grind was intense, but no one complained. They poured their strength and soul into every minute, united by a common goal. Construction and crafting boomed, upgrading the village and firing everyone up for more. Only the hero uses chopsticks, catching a village girl's eye. She tries to copy him, and the two quickly bond. Next day, construction explodes with new energy. The villagers work with insane zeal, slowly transforming the town. The elder watched with a sly grin, judging the villagers' progress while plotting his next move. The elder's devious face hides a massive plot, cranking the intrigue to the max. Fence finished, he's proud of the work, but new challenges are already waiting. The fence is finished, the village is safe, and the town is celebrating their first major win. The whole village gathered to celebrate, spirits high as a new era officially dawned. The women thanked Masaru for the life-changing stoves. Their gratitude warmed his soul, and he finally felt like he belonged. Masaru smiled seeing villagers use chopsticks, proof his innovations were sticking. Small changes, massive impact. The headman arrived to praise their success, bringing serious weight to the party and honoring their hard work. The leader sincerely thanked the hero for developing the village, marking a massive moment of recognition. The chief thanks Masaru, calling his role vital. His words of trust and hope fire up the hero. Mei rushes to hug the hero. The village hails their new protector. United and confident, they claim this victory as won. Hidden goddesses watched every move with approval, pulling the strings of destiny. Victinia claimed her judgment was flawless, her voice booming with absolute authority. Hera snapped no one should have that many skills. It broke the world's laws, and the goddess's tension hit a breaking point. To keep the world balanced, you only get 2 skills. Break this rule and chaos takes over. Victini built everything with a master plan to force the world to evolve. Masaru is the world's key to evolution, a fateful game changer. He's the goddess's only hope. Back in the village, the hero and elder talk strategy, building the trust needed to solidify their alliance. Trading respect, they teamed up and built a rock-solid alliance for the future. Masaru honestly pitches his village upgrades, and the chief hangs on every word. He studies the land and its people, mastering the environment to adapt fast. He's obsessed with rumors of these strange slugs and their impact on the world, but the mystery remains. Slugs are real, hidden behind unreachable cliffs. Our hero notes the mysterious lead. Masaru's teaching the rabbits about hygiene, marking a massive leap for the community's development. Masaru's brainstorming village upgrades for the long haul. He's got a master plan. He searches for an ocean to gauge the world's scale and plan his next move. Silence fell as the villagers weighed his question. This answer changes everything. Mei says an ocean was here, a tragic tale that keeps the villagers wary. The ocean stays deserted. Nobody dares return, leaving our hero with another mystery to solve. The elder reveals the ocean's secrets to the hero, passing down sacred legends of what waits beyond the horizon. Rabbits once lived by the sea, enjoying nature's bounty and total peace. Then humans invaded, seizing the land and driving the rabbits from their homes, leaving the community deeply scarred. The hero saw the bitter hate between rabbits and humans, feeling the crushing weight of the injustice his friends faced. Past grudges aside, the village lets him stay, respecting his strength and will to help. Masaru vowed to restore peace and security to his neighbors. He's going solo, refusing to burden anyone with his plans. He heads to the ocean solo to protect his friends and find a new plan. Next morning, gear packed and equipment checked, he's ready for the brutal journey ahead. Mei refuses to leave his side, tagging along to back him up. The hero tries to stop her, fearing this deadly journey is no place for a young girl. Masaru couldn't stop her. Mei was too stubborn to let her friend face this dangerous mission alone. The headman arrives, gearing them up for the journey with full support. He hands the hero vital gear, knowing it's the only way he'll survive. The bag holds heavy armor to tank hits and survive the trials ahead. He bids farewell, thanking everyone for their support and faith. Heart heavy but resolve firm, he leaves his village for the unknown. He grabs a map to navigate the unknown and stay on track. Armed with a map and sharp focus, Masaru overcomes every obstacle to finally reach the ocean. Deadly monsters ambush the hero, pushing his combat skills to the absolute limit. Bandits jumped him, preying on his weakness. Bandits bait Masaru with a stuck cart, distracting him for a surprise ambush. With insane reflexes and ice-cold focus, he wipes out the attackers and keeps moving. Battle over, Masaru heals the fallen bandits, showing mercy to his attackers. He refuses to kill. Everyone deserves a second chance, even enemies. He grabbed the bandits' loot for the journey ahead. To Masaru, it's a fair trade, lives for the resources to survive and reach his goal. A signal pings on his map, marking a new objective. Masaru reaches the lake to find Mei a ghost town, and he's instantly on edge. The observation tower is empty, something's dead wrong. Goblins seize the city, and they refuse to play nice. Goblins ambush the hero, fiercely defending their loot and territory. Masaru slams the first goblin down, putting the rest on edge. Mid-fight, his fencing levels up, his strikes growing sharper and more confident. He weaponizes childhood kendo skills for real-world combat. A goblin rider lunges, a lethal foe with speed and power far beyond any normal enemy. Masaru calculates every move, picking the perfect tactics to crush the boss. Masaru locks in, reading his enemy's moves to find a weakness and clinch the win. Hiro found a way to stop the boar, the goblin rider's deadliest weapon and the battle's biggest threat. He yanks a massive log from his inventory and delivers a crushing blow. Masaru used the log to drop the goblin, landing the decisive strike that turned the tide. Now he had to crush the remaining goblins and purge the city. Suddenly, the veteran goblin captain looms behind him, ready for blood. Shining knights block the heroes, watching him with serious, wary eyes. General Cook arrives to exterminate every goblin, no mercy. He briefed the knights in general on his arrival and the goblin clash. Saru's story leaves the knights stunned, reeling from truths they can barely comprehend. General Cook sizes up the chief goblin, plotting how to take him down. Interrogated, our MC explains his every move and motive. The knights invite him to join their ranks, offering official support and status. Masaru rejects the offer, ditching formalities to go his own way. Unfazed by the rejection, the general respected the hero's choice and his independence. Masaru asks for help burying the dead goblins to secure the area. Masaru clears the goblin corpses fast before the stench attracts predators. The hero scouted a safe spot to bury the bodies and protect the public. Suddenly, reality warps as space and time twist around him. Meanwhile, the goddesses debated rewinding time to fix the broken timeline. The hero shouldn't have won. Beating those goblins defied all logic. The girls notice Masaru's body changed, explaining his insane strength and that bizarre victory. Hera saw the disaster coming, change nothing and everything burns. She knew doing nothing meant disaster. The world is facing total destruction as events spiral out of control. The knights thank the hero for the save, finally realizing his true power. General Cook confirms the hero saved everyone, making him the key player now. No contract, they just paid for the help. Turns out the knights were dead broke and couldn't pay him. Still, Masaru accepted their help to protect the residents. He needed bottles and boxes for his next move. He broke down why he needed the gear and how it'd help the job. They asked village chief Gaver for resources, and he had to sign off. He'll provide everything, but the locals need those bottles too. Hiro saw through the elders' trap, tracking his every word. They hid their village's secret well from the rest of the world. The headman's busted for lying and hiding secrets from everyone. The villagers resented the hero for the chaos and his constant meddling. Suspicious locals jump the MC, fueled by pure distrust. The hero swiftly binds every attacker. Masaru tells the general the truth. Village tension drove the locals to attack. The general understood their motives and stayed patient. They grill the headman, exposing his crimes and the hidden well. The elders accused of hiding the well and lying to the village. The interrogation backfired on the village. The truth is out and chaos erupts. The headman and villagers begged for mercy, fearing the consequences. The hero offers a deal to save the peace. He demanded to know the truth about the rabbit's fate. The headman buried the truth and dodged every tough question. Gaver's village chief refused to hide and spilled the whole truth. The knights wondered why Lahar cared so much about the rabbit's fate. Masaru loved rabbits and cared deeply about their fate. They buried their shame, refusing to speak of their past mistakes. A knight praises Masaru for his courage and honor. Gover recounts the village's fall to enemies 5 years ago. The rabbits flee, escaping invaders and persecution. Seeing the innocents suffer sent him into a rage. Masaru investigated the fate of their rabbit catch. He freed the rabbits and demanded justice. The general refuses to release them, citing strict military code. The hero wants to lead an army to take control and change the game. Masaru roars at the knights, fuming and demanding respect. He's no fool, take him seriously. The hero exits, leaving everyone to reflect on his words and actions. He's warped to the goddesses for answers and his next mission. He was scolded and smacked for acting out and disobeying. The goddess grills Masaru on the human war and his cocky attitude. He reminds her he was taken by force and never consented. Masaru doubted he could solo the army, worrying the goddess. Victini hid the truth to keep the hero from panicking early. But she still drops a secret that changes everything. The secret mastered his power solo's entire armies. Stunned, the hero froze, staring at the girl as he struggled to process her words. He asks for the truth, and she reveals the secrets of his hidden power. She admits they accidentally gave him too much, the ultra-rare power to restore the spirit class. Scratching his head, he admits he's never heard of this. It shouldn't even be possible. This power balances his body and magic, pushing his strength far beyond human limits. Masaru listened, replying that he'd never noticed anything superhuman about himself during his adventures. He fell silent, processing her words. She reminded him he's weak now, but as he levels up, his power will skyrocket. He rubbed his head, looking worried and confused. None of this made sense. She apologized for her blunt words, realizing she'd left him confused. Her calm, kind gaze gave Masaru the strength to accept the news. Stunned by the news, he's still processing when the girl vanishes, leaving him alone with his thoughts. Captain Cook's voice cuts the silence, snapping Masaru back to reality. The captain briefs the team on the new threats and their mission. The hero cuts the talk. Forget the cities, what's the deal with the beastmen? The captain shares intel on city beastmen, noticing Masaru is totally unfazed. He grinned, thrilled the deal worked, and he's still in control. He expected the sentencing to drag and prepared to step in, but Knights suddenly cut him off. The captain says the meeting prevents fights and tells the hero to hop in the cart. They're heading to the city of Knights to strategize and find allies. Masaru and his crew pile into the cart, hitting the broken road toward the city. Paterium, the massive Knight city, stood majestic with high walls and defensive towers. The hero marvels at the city's dark stone walls, massive, untouchable, and terrifyingly powerful. Driving past the scenery, he realizes Paterium is beautiful and powerful, but he won't stay. He's moving on. The hero schemes to use the situation. At the entrance, Captain Cook demands Masaru's guild card for ID. They hit the checkpoint, but the hero's guild card is missing. It wasn't that serious. The knights just used a magic tool to scan his hand for ID. Masaru touches the device, instantly generating his unique guild card. The card displays his name, guild, and criminal record for ID and security purposes. The hero admitted it was rare, but getting that card left him overjoyed and relieved. He scanned his new card, feeling the surface and analyzing every possibility. His recent level up updated his map and abilities, leaving the other heroes in total shock. Stunned by his massive skill count, they demand answers, catching Masaru completely off guard. He left his skill map open in the rush. He claimed it was an accident, but they weren't buying it. The heroes whispered in shock, doubting his insane skill count. They study the map until a meeting summons them, pausing their talk for later. The staff's already waiting inside, ready to settle things. Heroes are stressed and on edge. This meeting is pure hype. Inside, a group sits around a massive table, their faces grim and somber. Sitting in the middle is Lancelot, the city's head and meeting leader. He noticed Lancelot's aura was different, stronger and deeper than everyone else's. He tries to give thanks for the meeting, but the knight cuts him off instantly. He cuts to the chase, revealing he already knows the hero wants to negotiate the beastman's release. The kid tried to trade for the beastman's freedom, but he's got nothing of value. The mayor wanted to see what the kid had to offer. The hero wouldn't lie to Lancelot, weighing what he could actually offer. He suddenly shouted, offering knowledge. He promised his knowledge would save lives and solve everything. They didn't get it, so he used upgrading horse carriages as an example. He broke down exactly how he'd upgrade the carts. He processed the explanation. He approved the kid's plan, but pointed out the total lack of evidence. The mayor's convinced and tells the boy to wait for a decision. The kid asks if the hero wants him in the Knights. He'd refused before, but Lancelot wasn't letting a fighter this good walk away. He suggests guarding the beastmen until the kid shows results. The hero's stunned. Lancelot claims the boy offers both knowledge and destiny, leaving him deep in thought. He agreed and the entire room froze. Once he sees the results, the knight hands the beastmen to the boy. Seeing the kid's confusion, the hero sends him to the secretary to discuss the solid terms. Lancelot saw the leader hated the invasion, but that's war. He realized the knight leader wasn't actually a bad guy. He warns that beastmen haters might sabotage the release, leaving Musatru stunned. Hero settles the conflict with a duel. He'll fight anyone opposing beastman liberation, and the winner will be right. Lancelot loved the move, calling it a brilliant show. Against the city's strongest, nobody would complain. The hero draws his sword and challenges Masaru. Seeing the man's battle lust, he tried to talk the hero out of the duel, warning him it would end in disaster. The hero asks if he doubts his win, telling him to check the schedule. He's ready for any challenger. The hero announces a lecture on hygiene. Before training starts, he lectures the group. He promised personal lessons for those training now. The commander tried to leave, but Masaru stopped him. Hero schools the knights on hygiene, stressing every vital detail. He outlines Japan's school system, but the knights are completely stumped. Masaru's wisdom stuns the commander, and the boy proves his intel is a total game-changer. Who is Masaru, and how does he know so much? The commander knows the intel is gold, but they can't afford the price. Lancelot refuses to stay in debt, and Masaru knows formalities are over. He calls it a day and asks for the forge. Hero gets the green light to upgrade the carts and scores a forge. Lancelot says the best smiths ditch for the city, leaving this town short on talent. He's led to the forge and is absolutely stunned. The hero stared, stunned by the massive haul of materials. Masaru rounded up every worker. He barked that a full inventory happens today. He also ordered a total forge cleanup. A knight questions the strict inventory, sending the young man into a rage. Masaru gloves up, ready to show him the perfect storage system. The hero overhauled the forge, sorting tools and clearing junk to create the perfect workspace. He was thrilled to see the room finally bright, clean, and perfectly organized. Masaru chats with a worker who admits XSOR storage used to be a total mess. He secured a year-long ordeal with the city, guaranteeing a constant flow of materials. Masaru suggests small ingots for easier crafting and mentions new alloys. Intrigued, the worker asks what an alloy is. Hero explains the alloy, mix iron and chromium for strength, but the guy is totally lost. Masaru broke down the tech into simple terms anyone could understand. With his shop ready, the hero dives into practice to test his blacksmithing skills. He was shocked desire alone won't forge a blade, it takes precision and patience. Masaru meticulously recreates the sword, nailing every tiny detail. He forged the iron with magic and skill, crafting its perfect shape. The hero hit his stride and started cranking out new items. Hours of grinding later, he looks down at his masterfully forged knife. Hero sets the forged blade down and gets to work with his tools. He reminded everyone his smithing let him craft and upgrade gear solo. Masaru tested new techniques, molding metal and shape for the perfect result. He was forging something deep within, moving with absolute confidence. He forged with laser focus, stopping every passerby in their tracks. Lancelot enters the forge, stunned to find the hero's massive new sword. Masaru forged the sword himself. The hero confirmed it, but he's upgrading his current weapon first. Lancelot trusts the young blacksmith to reforge his sword. He eyed the workbench with worry, seeing a mess of unassembled parts scattered everywhere. Masaru says these spare parts will help them transform and upgrade the city. He explained the new upgrades, but Lancelot was completely lost. Hero's pitching his plans to the town tomorrow, so Lancelot, stay sharp and ready for any challengers. The commander watched intently, eager to see Masaru's next move and performance. Masaru grinded all night, perfecting his products and prepping the presentation. He went overboard, but he loved every second of the grind. He dreamed of flexing his achievements and pitching the power of his inventions. He knew he'd have to lecture the knights and locals on hygiene to keep saving them. Next morning, a girl approaches him with quiet confidence, carrying a message that changes everything. He checks in and she confirms their training every night. She sounds exhausted but driven, the pressure is on. In 3 days, she duels Lancelot, a battle that will change their destinies forever. She read the announcement. It was cold and official, leaving zero doubt this was dead serious. She felt for the boys, her eyes flashing with worry over the brutal, deadly test. He swore no one would get hurt, his voice steady with unshakable resolve. Lancelot arrives, electrifying the forge. He's a living legend, a true symbol of strength and honor. Hero asks for Masaru and spots him. His eyes sparkle, recognizing his fated encounter. He presents his inventions to the crowd, voice full of pride as he fights to prove his worth. The hero asks a commoner to test his invention. Skeptical but curious, she agrees. She tests the invention, and its power shocks her. Water gushes from the device, stunning the crowd who mistake the rare miracle for pure magic. Hero overhauls the carts, boosting speed and reliability to help the locals. He scanned the device, hunting for every weakness to eliminate. He took charge and dove into the work, his energy so contagious that everyone rushed to help him pull it off. He tests the invention with Lancelot, and the cart zooms, proving his idea is a total success. The heroes trade nods of approval, their bond stronger than ever. The knights were dying to ride, their hype filling the air with hope. Lancelot trailed the boy from the cart, hooked by his inventions and his master plan. They spoke of how the boy would reshape the city, fueled by raw ambition. He demanded a peace pact between humans and beastmen, standing firm on his vision for harmony. They lock eyes, a stunned commander asks if that's it, and the hero nods with pure, sincere resolve. The deal is struck, sparking a new era that shifts every alliance and power dynamic. The commander stakes his life on his city, but not the nation, warning the kid to watch his back. The commander's sudden shout cuts the conversation short, shattering their daily peace. The hero thanked him, his voice heavy with sincere gratitude for the support. Lancelot tells him to go all out in the duel, a final warning for the test ahead. Exhausted, the hero's mind blurs his gratitude for Lancelot with pure fatigue. He stops the man, reminding him the heroes still owe a hygiene lecture. Duty comes first. Masaru hit his limit. The lecture drained him dry, leaving his body heavy and desperate for rest. He collapsed onto his bed, letting the silence help him forget. Victinius suddenly appears at the window, mysterious and unexpected. They start talking and quickly form a deep bond. The talk shifts to his crush as she grills him with sweet, lively interest. Heading to the roof, he warmly recalled falling for a petite, pretty girl at first sight. The rabbit girl shares my name and he's floored. This coincidence revived his lost love, a sign God finally apologized. He's left in total awe. Seeing the master manipulator shaken by their talk finally revealed the goddess's true depth. Sitting beside her, he vows to do whatever it takes for the rabbit people. It's his life's mission, and he's dead serious. He thanks the goddess, earning her respect. She said not to worry, her voice light and calm. She fixed her hair and flashed a warm, friendly smile. She asks what's wrong. He calls her a lousy god, dripping with irony. She snaps, he claims he already thanked her, and they start a playful spat. She laughed, he smiled, they were finally in sync. Goodbyes over, the hero hits the forge, back to work crafting the future. Perched on the roof, the goddess stares out, her mysterious gaze sensing the future. 3 days since Victinius appeared, he's been traveling nonstop, sharing his wisdom with everyone in need. He grinds every spare second, sharpening his moves and resolve for the big fight. Duel day is finally here, and our hero is itching for the fight. Hero storms the waiting room, complaining. Lancelot barked at Masaru, enraged his sword had vanished right before the battle. Unfazed by his rival's rage, he calmly promises to finish the sword later. Sword drawn, they trade insults, a quick warm-up before the real fight. They joked around to kill the pre-fight nerves. The kid asks about his losses. He proudly replies, 0. Challenged to go all out, they hit the arena. The crowd roars, but the boy freezes, spotting a messenger in the stands. Her welcome fueled Masaru's confidence and strength. The host calls the start, the crowd roars, and the heroes charge into battle. The nearby messenger hates being called Malady, masking her irritation. She tracked the fight, wondering how fast the end would come. Masaru closes in to study his opponent's tactics. Lancelot hurls the boy back, clearly dominating the fight. Hero dodges every strike, waiting for the perfect opening. The knight calls him a freak. He doesn't even know a basic fighting stance. Blades clash as both go all out in this brutal test. Recalling the goddess's claim he could solo an army, he decides to put it to the test. He triggers his inventory, raining logs from the sky to bury his foe in chaos. Lancelot dodges the log, certain of victory. He spams new skills, cranking up the pressure. Logs swarm Lancelot from all sides like siege weapons. Trapped in a real siege, he scrambled for an escape. He thought dodging meant tracking every single movement. Breathless, the girl watched it all unfold. The messenger bolts up screaming, forcing a shocked Lancelot to whip around. He unleashes siege weapons and a massive ballista to turn the tide. The knight dodges the massive weapon, desperately parrying every blow with his sword. The crowd stares wide-eyed at these massive, brand-new techniques. He raises his sword high, ready for the final blow. He charged the enemy with bold confidence. He dodges, already planning his next move to stay ahead. He swings his blade and freezes in shock. His weapons split in two, stunning everyone. The crowd went wild for this sudden twist. Masaru crushes the knight, proving he's the ultimate symbol of power in this battle. Lancelot smirks, seeing through the kid's bold plan. He respects the audacity, admitting that even with tricks, battle is full of surprises. The hero thought his plan worked because the blade looked ready to snap. Lancelot reveals he sabotaged the sword to test the boy's limits, cranking the stakes to the max. Masaru's sword is unique, turning this mission into a high-stakes game of skill and fate. Disappointed, the knight realized he'd underestimated his foe's wit. His plan was in ruins. His giant bow is a ballista, a siege weapon built to crush fortresses, but he never expected Lancelot to slice the bolt. The arrow strike cracked the enemy's sword, leaving it completely vulnerable. He shoved his flawless blade forward, mocking the gap between his steel and his rival's broken junk. Masaru gifts Lancelot his sword, thanking him for an honorable fight. He swung the new blade, loving its perfect balance, pure quality in his hands. Lancelot lives for the fight. Weapon choice doesn't matter. He's only here to scrap and sharpen his skills. To him, fighting is evolution, getting stronger and smarter with every battle. He used to have allies by his side, but now, he's left everyone so far behind he stands alone. The stronger he gets, the tougher the fights, demanding every ounce of his power. He finally realized his isolation was his own fault. His weak will kept him from ever relying on others. Smiling, he admits today's fight was a real lesson that gave him plenty to think about. Lancelot calls fighting self-improvement. Masaru smiles and quits, knowing he's hit his limit. His opponent takes the win as the crowd explodes for the young hero. The messenger smiled with pride, watching as he vowed freedom and justice for the beastmen. The tavern erupted with talk of recent events and future plans. A stranger approaches, instantly putting the duo on high alert. They turn to see Lancelot, a man commanding instant fear and respect. The men panicked, but the knight's raw power forced them to stay calm. Lancelot isn't an enemy, he's here for Masaru, demanding they spill every secret. He scours the hero's intel and spots a massive anomaly that reveals the kid's ultimate fate. Something's off, the kid's level is low, but his feats are legendary. He asked who'd step up to watch the kid by the rules. A carefree girl strolls in, calling Lancelot grandpa as the shocked crowd breaks into smiles. Days later, a crowd gathers at the hall entrance, waiting for the big news. With everything ready, the hero decides it's finally time to start his journey. Hero spots blue marks on the man's face and asks what happened, but he dodges the question. He grins while explaining a horse kicked him, then stops dead when he spots the girl. The messenger is Lancelot's niece, Adelina. She loved his performance and announces she's now under his care. Stunned, the boy asks for answers. The hero explains Adelina wants to see the world and gain experience. He needed help, and she was the perfect ally for his future plans. Adelina approaches, telling the guy he looks interesting, trustworthy, and respectable. The hero grins, seeing Lancelot's grit and spirit in her. He won't stop her if she's helping, he's all in. Thrilled by the answer, she finally found a true ally. Gear-packed, he vowed to turn the village into a city where beastmen could live in peace. Lance warns her, don't stop Masaru or their bond is dead. He smiled, soaking up their gratitude and respect. Adelina and the protagonist wave goodbye, hyped to start the next leg of their journey. The journey's longer than expected, but he's ready for the challenge. He fixed the beastmen's problems and stockpiled resources for his next move. Back with the rabbits, he's welcomed by the warmth and support of his people. He explained the situation, introducing his ally Adelina to talk business. A rabbit girl rushes him, sobbing with joy, and the hero feels instant sympathy. He'd save her every second, while the goddess watched from afar. Hugging the bunny girl, he felt pure bliss. His hard work finally paid off. She thought he was just gathering resources, but Masaru's massive impact shocked everyone. Even her uncle could learn from him. He gets the Pontarium's goal. If they betray their nation to help, he'll drop the grudge and accept the alliance. He fears Masaru's tech will trigger rapid growth and restart the war. He tells them not to worry. He already signed a peace treaty with the commander, so the heroes need to focus elsewhere. They must expand the village to house the freed beastmen. He plans to build a beastman city. Next morning, the girls wake Masaru, reminding him he called for a group meeting. The rabbit agrees. The girls leave, and the hero checks his status for useful skills. An owl message pops up. Surprised, he clicks it. Magic goddess Erosaphira confirms Listeria's gods will reward Masaru with skill boosts and a private meeting. Shocked by God's award, he realizes multiple gods exist. He's hyped that Erosaphira is a goddess with actual common sense. Masaru thinks if he keeps getting rewarded for developing, they'll definitely call him back. Checking his skills, he realizes if village growth won't level them up, he'll have no trouble staying motivated. The same girls shout for Masaru. Hiro arrives, apologizes for the delay, and gathers everyone to discuss the village's future. The chief likely told the residents already, the captured beastmen are finally free. But there's a catch: 200 freed refugees are arriving, and they need more food and better defenses. Now, Masaru suggests building a city in a new location. He tries telling the boss about the nearby district, but the locals cut him off. Is building a city even possible? They demand to know the hero's vision. He vows to do whatever it takes to support everyone. He promises the city will be a safe, inclusive haven for smiling beastmen. The residents cheer, vowing to help and hailing Masaru as a man they can trust. He's glad the beastman trusts him. The hero admits he's been hiding his past, but to show he's sincere, he's finally coming clean. The villagers know nothing about Masaru. He just showed up lost, and they never questioned him because of his issues. Masaru reveals the gods summoned him from another world, shocking everyone. Silence falls. He knows no one will believe him. The awestruck crowd grills him. Is his knowledge from a divine world, and has he actually met them? His partner finally realizes why he was always so uncomfortable. Narumi's stunned. The locals believed him instantly. The chief suspects the gods, and the girl agrees. If their creators did this, it explains everything. Musuri enters a world where God is fact. Grandpa says he's late, but he's determined to earn their trust. Anyone who fights and lives by their side is family, and no one suspects family. The hero's hyped as the kids swarm him with questions about Masaru's home, tech, and the gods. Panicking, Narumi promises more details at dinner and a godlike bronze statue for next time. Rabbit demands expansion plans, but the hero says follow the chief, wood can wait. He turns to his crew and finally breaks the silence. They're making slaked lime. The rabbit has no clue what it is. Masaru calls it their secret weapon for the new city and hands the job to the girls. She asks if it's hard. He says it's exhausting and tells her to follow. He hits the kiln to craft slaked lime. He explains shells in the pot, fuel underneath, light the stove, but the next step is crucial. He sets down a mezzi box, pumping the handle to blast air and keep the fire roaring. Rabbit asks what happens next. Masaru explains, piped air blasts the oven, cranking the heat past 1,000 degrees. His partner asks how he measures it all. Masaru doesn't know, but says theory is fine. Safety and proper use are what really matter. She knows safety, but asks what he means by proper use. To him, correct means turning theory into reality exactly as imagined. Proper usage changes with the tech. Hiro warns tech brings fortune or ruin, so it demands responsibility. He tells Adeline and May to weigh technology's successes and failures. The rabbit asks if failure's okay. Masaru pats their heads, saying reflection and memory are better than never failing. She smiles and he suggests they heat up the oven. He's sure his team is finally safe. He's got work to do. The boss found a city site and now he's leveling the land. Seeing the earth wiped clean, he admits these slot machine skills are terrifyingly broken. He'd leveled up, but this was overkill. The entire area looked like a massive battle had leveled it to the ground. The chief's high, flat spot looks perfect, but the ground is solid rock. The rabbits can't handle this complex material. It takes too long, so only Masaru's skills will work. He's not sure it'll work, but there's only one way to find out. He unleashes his magic. He finished the 100-meter zone, but Puterium taught him that even a steady magic recharge takes 6 full hours. Land clearing is sorted. Narumi wraps it up in just a few days. He's stuck. At this rate, even 2 days of work won't finish the project. Now what about the rest? He senses something in the northern rocks, triggering memories of his past adventures. He's sprinting for the one thing he's wanted since birth. He sprints to the cliff's edge and finally finds his target. Slugs swarm under the rock. The village chief thanks Masaru for his daily help and village improvements. The chief looks awkward, admitting he has to trust the hero since he's helping rebuild the city. He asks what's in the box, and Narumi confirms it's just a slug. He raised him here and hopes they'll bond, but parading him around sends the villagers into a total panic. Chief grills Masaru about knowing slugs are magical beasts, and Masaru confirms it. He'll use them for future garbage collection. Since his slug stayed peaceful, he's starting more research. Narum read in the Puterium that some beasts aren't enemies, they're resources, just like wood or stone. Chief asks the hero to check it out. He agrees, but Masaru's only thinking about building a toilet. Grandpa never thought magical beasts could be resources. He recalls the hero's plan, asking if he meant the slug experiment for waste disposal. Masaru agrees, demanding the slug's diet and weaknesses to control them later. He'll farm local monitor lizards to solve their food problem. This is step 1 for breeding slugs. He asks the chief for his take. The chief heads off to alert the village, and Narami thanks him. Masaru trapped the slug behind stones, logging the 60 cm beast as a translucent green mongo. Slugs can't climb higher than their own height. If the support is under 2/3 the base area, they roll right off. Testing him, the hero hands over junk like leaves and wood. The slug absorbs everything, slowly digesting the remains. It hates wood and leaves, but in 2 days, it'll dissolve it all. Masaru thought recycling was finally solved, but his hope is crushed when a resident reports a new incident. He reaches the slug, but it's already dead. He grabs the animal, baffled by how it shrunk so small. The hero finds the slug bone dry and figures it needs water. Masaru finds slimes die from dehydration, and further testing reveals they're also weak to fire and water. Controlling the slugs is easy now that volunteers are raising them. He used slug biology to form a theory. Slugs are actually part of the world's self-cleaning mechanism. He realized that slugs in dirty water suck up the grime, leaving it crystal clear. Masaru's experiments prove the world is full of mysteries, and he's loving it. Plus, the villagers finally accept the slugs. Mei asks the hero if slugs can be pets. Magical beasts are trending, but it'll be a painful reminder when these people realize slugs are still lethal. He tells the rabbit no, slugs are monsters, not pets. Masaru asks why the leader is sighing, and the old man admits he's just shocked the hero is bringing this up while everyone's busy. The chief questions why the hero is leaving again just for materials. Adelina tells the chief Narami has his reasons, and they'll find out the truth soon. Masaru's low on supplies and needs to preserve the surrounding land for the city's future. The headman admits he dumped the entire workload onto the hero without a second thought. The locals will do whatever it takes to help the boy. Narami recruits the group to help him gather tree seeds and saplings. Adelina asks their fate, and the hero says they're going to jail. Growth takes years, destruction takes minutes. Plant now to prep for the future. Greening the mountains secures their wood supply while preserving the forest. Masaru picked this up at the home center, but he's no pro at seedlings or fertilizer. Day 1 hunting Narami, Mei and Adelina scale a forest peak. Adelina says they're just gathering wood, but the hero demands boulders too. He talked landscaping with the chief to score edible and medicinal seeds. Mei confirms the trees will grow massive. He warns they're in the forest now, stay alert and respect the wildlife. Adelina's lost, that word is way over her head. Masaru's old world was hyper-advanced, but humanity's power wiped out species and wrecked the planet. He wants the new world at peace because every creature is a child of the gods. Adelina's convinced if he met God, it's the truth. The girls demand they start collecting, eager for some epic finds. Hyped, the hero starts with the surrounding area. Adelina hauls a massive log pile and asks for praise. She asks Mei for Masaru. It's time to tally the materials. Rabbit says he left ages ago, so she grabs her plants and heads out to find the hero. Distant swords clash. Adelina's rabbit ears are sharper than she thought Narami's in a fight. They follow the noise as she asks if Masaru's okay. The girls watch him slash a man down. A piece flies at Adelina, and he tells her to grab it. The beast's head drops into her hands. Terrified, she screams he forced her to catch it. Narmi apologizes, thinking she'd dodge, but she warns him he won't get off easy next time. He tried driving off some dangerous beasts, but they attacked. Suddenly, Mei notices something. She spots a massive worm's body right ahead. Rabbit says these beasts eat bugs underground, explaining why the plants thrive. He says his world was the same. Worms enrich the soil to supercharge plant growth. Mei can't find the worm's tunnels or any way for it to surface. Adelina recalls worms use earth magic to tunnel without leaving a single hole. Mei heard you can craft bows out of worms. Worms sell for a fortune at the Peterium, and top-tier bows need them for crafting. Masaru asks how the worm works. Adelina explains the worm's tough, elastic muscle makes perfect bowstrings and armor. The hero realizes this material is surprisingly useful, explaining why hunters target these beasts. His partner claims few can defeat the worm. Mei praises Masaru for the kill, but he's already eyeing rare monsters for their valuable loot. The rabbit says they hunt monitor lizards and guinea fowl. The bird sounds delicious, so the hero hunts for a pair. She hears their unique calls and tracks them instantly. An eerie sound terrifies the rabbit. Clutching her sushi, her friends grow worried. She trembles in fear, her face taking Narami back to the moment they first met. The hero's on guard, the goblin is close. Mei begs him to stay, even knowing his power. She screams that Masaru's gonna die because he can't fight back. Shocked, he leans in and promises he won't. Staying near that monster is suicide. They need to know what they're up against first. Rabbit asks if he'll return soon. Masaru confirms and asks for the monster's location. Mei points deep into the forest. Hiro dashes and ducks behind a tree. He spots a bear ripping into another animal's throat. Neuromi's terrified of the massive beast. Terrified of the bear's fury, the hero ducks behind a tree. The beast retreats, and Masaru finally breathes easy. He's never seen a bear like this, 4 meters tall and packing 4 massive limbs. He figures it's a turf war, but this massive horse has 6 legs. The hero tests his skill for answers. Its status reveals a savanna-storming horse, a magic-mutated beast with horns tougher than iron. Masaru has no clue magic particles power this world. But the real question is that massive bear beast that just slaughtered the horse. The beast bolts, then a drop hits his nose. Rain falls. Narami wraps up his search to rejoin Mei and Adelina and report to the headman. The hero reports the attack, and the chief identifies the beast as a demon bear. Even the giant horse is magic mutated. Grandpa says these beasts raided his coastal town every few years, unstoppable monsters with the power of a natural disaster. Masaru stands by his choice to follow Mei, but the Prez knows they just got lucky. Hiro asks why, but the chief says the beast is full and flees when rain approaches. Gramps says the partners are lucky. This rain kicks off the season. 2 weeks of rain flood the plains knee-deep, turning the entire landscape into a massive lake. Even demon bears are stuck in this storm. If the villagers prep now, they'll be safe. Masaru realizes the chief knew all along. Now they have time to fortify defenses and set up tents. He echoes the chief's warning. The forests and fields are turning into a massive lake. He notes the shifting habitats, and Gramps warns that sea creatures are everywhere, but Masaru's already gone. The hero apologizes, but he's done talking. The worried elder asks, is he really fighting that beast alone? Narami's sick of the village's meat-only diet. It's pure torture for his Japanese taste buds. Rule: original 133 characters. Target 8106 characters. Draft 83 characters. Hero spots massive puddles, hyped to weaponize this world's water. He lunges for the catch but trips. Staring at a puddle, he's baffled. Something just grabbed his leg. A giant crab bursts from the water, but Masaru snatches its claw. He pulls a rope from inventory, flips the crab, and ties it up. Hyped for the catch, he checks its stats. A green-eyed forest beast that grows to a meter and turns sparkling emerald in water. Finding a treasure trove, the hero starts grabbing everything edible. It snags the jewel cutter crab, a 1.5-meter beast with jewel-bright scissor pincers that snatch and drag prey. Next, the green moss shrimp, an elusive 60-meter giant with a mossy shell. Next, he hits Harlan toads. One tiny dose is lethal, and since symptoms vary for everyone, an antidote is nearly impossible. He encounters a stealth python camouflaged in its surroundings. He lands a massive eel, 5 meters long and 5 centimeters thick. He scores a massive haul, hyped to finally ditch his unbalanced diet. Victina steps from the portal, asking what the hero's muttering and scaring him senseless. She's confused by his reaction, but Masaru says he'll never get used to it. He asks why she's out in the storm, but her divine veil keeps her bone dry. Jusso blushes, insisting she just arrived, and totally doesn't care about Naomi's rainy business or his crab loot. He wonders if she's never tasted human food since she's a goddess. He says this much loot grabs everyone's attention. Realizing it's food, the goddess asks if it tastes bad. Masaru grabs her hand, and they sprint through the rain. Narami crafts a quick shelter. The goddess is impressed. His hand-built structure is surprisingly sturdy. Vectinius tastes the crab out of curiosity. Disgusted, she asks if they're eating it raw, but Masaru says they'll just boil the crab. He tells them to grab a seat and wait for the food. Hiro starts cooking the crab, so the goddess spots his wet hair and hands him a towel. She wipes his hair, catching him off guard, and tells him to stay still. He lets her dry his hair, but wonders if she's always been like this. The goddess orders him to stay quiet and watch the window for her own sake. She's just paying him back for all his work, saving the village and the coast. Masaru serves the finished crab on the table. Victinia is impressed by the dish, but the hero senses her awkwardness after the goddess's stunt. The goddess fails to bite the crab shell, but the guy knows a secret trick. He pulls the meat from the shell and hands it to her. She takes a nervous bite. She beams, calling the food delicious. Shocked by the perfect umami-sweet balance, the goddess praises Masaru. He jokes they better eat fast before Victinius eats it all, but the goddess shuts him up and demands more meat. She finishes and thanks him, admitting she's never tasted anything like it. He tells her there's plenty more. Goddess asks to take this for her sister. Narumi remembers her sister sent the message, calling her more sensible than his friends. The girl snaps, cursing him for bringing it up. He lets her take the food but warns it'll get cold, so he offers his inventory to keep it fresh for her sister. The goddess realizes this guy can do it all. She cooks, invents, forges swords, and never gets bored watching him. Masaru's confused. The gods gave him these skills, but she says he's missing the point. Victinia explains skills are just a foundation, useless without the knowledge and imagination to back them up. He catches on, claiming his home center job makes him a pro with those tools. He handled it all perfectly since the center was out of town. Rural home centers are massive, dawn-to-dusk megastores packed with every plant imaginable. Planting season hits, the hero helps the farmers and opens shop early to make things easier. He mastered the seasonal care of every flower, tree, and seed. Masaru mastered it all: construction, electronics, farming, and even first aid. He's survived it all and gained massive knowledge, but it's worthless unless he teaches others how to use it. He screams that he memorized everything instantly, but his manager refuses to help and demands even more. Narami shakes off the awkwardness as the goddess praises his impact, certain his help will let the people thrive. She's bragging about her bronze statue with goddess pride, but Masaru's just cringing. They must kill a demon bear first, or the arriving beastmen are in for a brutal welcome. Seeing Victinius alive, he knows he's here to hunt, but he's clearly dodging the bear topic. The goddess scolds him, refusing to let him run away. She saw the hero's incredible power and refuses to believe he's weak. Hero smiles at her answer, calls it unfair, and asks what the goddess plans to do if he runs away. Victoria vows she'll never forgive him like this. Masaru calls her a child, and the goddess snaps. If Octinia says so, he's not sitting this one out. Villagers scramble to build, reinforcing walls, mixing lime mortar, and hauling in more stakes. Masaru hauls boards until a villager calls him away. The entrance wall is nearly finished, and he wants the hero to check it out. He says the wall's solid. He spots a new lookout tower, and the beastman claims they're finally safe from invaders. The locals build a sniper platform with Misari's support as she checks progress elsewhere. Beastman reports traps are still being set outside and asks Narami for more stone. He agrees, using his leftover materials from clearing the land to build for the city. Using the rainy season's lull, the demon's countermeasures work perfectly. Masaru wants to level up, but since he isn't defending the village, he's satisfied for now. Over dinner, he unlocks a new skill, but it's still useless for battle. He needs firepower. Does he mean fire magic? He praises her work, wanting something more than just fire magic. He suspects one of the rabbits can use fire magic. Rabbit doubts it, but says foxes might have something similar. Hero's gonna keep pestering Lance to send the foxes. Adelina doubts other magical beasts are nearby, knowing beastmen have peak physical power but pathetic magic. Masaru hadn't seen magic rabbits or any magic at all since arriving in this world. He asks Adelina for the city's total mage count. She says only 2 could create water. The hero's fuming. The goddess lied about Alestia being a magnificent world of swords and magic. May asks what's wrong, but he's just planning his next move for when he meets the goddess again. Suddenly, they hear a noise. Mizeric gets a message from goddess Ares of Fira. She's finally teaching him magic. The rabbit's never seen anything like it, but Adelina spots words written there. Narami's shocked. He told the girls about the goddess right as her message pops up. It breaks down the world's science and magic, while the basic laws are still being written. Magical beasts exist, and magic is their specialty. Humans, elves, and demons just watched magic, never bothering to research it. The gods want Masaru to unlock magic for everyone and advance civilization. Seeing the message, Adelina asks if he can use magic. He claims he can use healing magic. Forget tech, the message reveals the foundations of magic, and the hero realizes the gods want him to force this knowledge onto the world. Mei asks about magic principles. Masar knows zero, but he'll build schools to teach the masses. He's building a school. Ravit asks if this is his world. The hero explains it's for learning. Everyone spends 9 years here starting at age 6. Adelina admires his world's tech spread, but he notes their world has its own tech too. She asks how their worlds differ. He can't explain, but he's got the perfect item to show her. Masaru slams a smartphone on the table. Mei thinks it's a tiny box, but he claims it's his world's peak tech. Adelina thinks it's a joke. He tries to power it up, but it's dead. The girls are stunned it even works. He stashes it in the storage box, realizing that since nothing spoils, time literally stands still inside. Mei asks what a smartphone does, and Nara explains it lets you talk to people far away. He lists the phone's features: photos, video, music, and gaming, but the girls can't even wrap their heads around it. The girls are clueless, so he'll just show them why they're happy. He snaps pics, blasts music, and shows off games and gadgets. Late night, Masaru realizes he's too relaxed and actually having fun. Mei's right about magic. Education isn't the issue, but he can't teach students who lack the basics. Confused by Erasofra, he realizes a goddess exists and asks Vectinius, what can a healer even do? The goddess appears and says it's simple. Masaru knows magic. She realizes Nurami baited her, but he admits he only asked because he knew she was watching. He claims he can only use healing magic, but the goddess tells him he's dead wrong. She reveals he already used magic against Lancelot. Masaru likely buffed his sword unconsciously. Was it a fluke, or did he use it against the mountain bandits? Victinius credits his skills. Divine skills manifest as boxes. Naramis's is the home center where he worked and played. He asks how healing works, but the goddess reveals it requires medical knowledge and isn't instant. Masaru always thought his skills were weird, too simple, and only useful to him. He got the message and asked how to use magic like in the duel. She asks if he's felt the mana surge when activating a skill. Hiro agrees, claiming he once drained his magic dry. Victinia says magic is fuel. Feel it flow. Mastering that flow is the foundation. Misaru vows to try, certain he can pull it off. He asks if spilling everything counts as interference. The goddess insists she's fine, but she's clearly terrified of Hera's wrath. Hiro laughs, asking if Victinius cares or just wants out. The goddess is livid. She warns him not to get cocky. She's got her reasons. The goddess insists on helping. Her sister Irasafira caused this mess, and she's taking responsibility as the big sister. Masaru accepts the magic and praises her devotion to her sister. Seeing Vectinius's true side, Narami dove into daily magic research. Villagers finished their demon bear defenses. Peace returns as the village finally gets back to normal. Masaru's fuming, the bear's a total no-show. Adelina's relieved the beast didn't show, but he warns it might return next year. Mei asks if the village is safe, and the chief notes the hero's arrows are perfect for hunting. Adelina's shocked he made arrows, but Masaru added reverse points so they're impossible to pull out. Poison tips make these arrows lethal, and they're stuck until the venom spreads. She calls the weapon merciless, but he snaps that it's necessary for life-or-death combat. The elders want to wait, but the hunters loved his bow and arrows. Watching the archers, Masaru offers a worm bow, calling it a massive level-up over his treat bow. A shooter complains the string's too heavy. Even their strongest can barely grip a weapon, and shamefully, no one's used one yet. Aware of his low rank, another shooter asks for a demonstration. Nurami grabs the bow, confirms the technique is exactly what he taught, and takes aim. The arrow blasts through the target and the tree, leaving the residents stunned. His magic training accidentally buffed the arrow, but he figures a tree will stop it. A roar erupts from the forest, terrifying the village. Lookout alert, demon bears are closing in from the northern cliff. He screams for everyone to evacuate, but the panicked residents have no idea what to do. The shooters glare at Masaru, but he swears it's just a coincidence and not his fault. But that roar sounds like a wounded animal. The headman was ready. That northern cliff bear was an inevitable threat. The sooner they kill it, the better. He asks Narami if he's ready. Narami says yes. Hiro orders the chief, alert Mei and Adelina, start the evacuation, and send every fighter to the wall. He takes command as planned, rushing the hunters straight to the bear. Adelina, Mei call him back. Masaru pats their heads, entrusts them with the village, and heads out. Adelina assures me everything's fine, and Masaru's got this. The hunters close in on the angry demon bear. Narami guessed right, her arrow piercing the beast's eye. He spots the hunters on the cliff edge. They've gotta bait the demon bear into a trap. Provide cliffside cover with the team's bows while Masaru acts as bait. Failure kills the hero and wipes out the village. He signals the first shot. Countless arrows zero in on the bear. Hero slashes back, but the shallow hit only baits the beast into a chase. Suddenly, the bear lunges, unleashing a flurry of razor-sharp claw strikes. The beast misses, clutching its head. Narami realizes the hunter's frog-poisoned arrows are finally working. Gran Point's toad poison hits everyone differently. Hero thought it was a bluff, but he's hyped it actually works. He signals the second shot and bolts. Another volley of arrows strikes, dropping the beast. Villagers celebrate their success, but Masaru's skeptical. He checks his status screen to confirm the XP gain. His score spikes, confirming the demon bear is dead. Archers shout from the cliff. A victory banquet awaits back home. Masaru can finally rest. Hiro spots a new pattern on the bear. It's not the one Narami faced. He screams for the archers to fall back. He warns it's the wrong bear, but the real beast is already behind him. Masaru scrambles to block the monster's ambush. Too late, he's blasted through trees. Two demonic bears. He's stunned as pain flares in his side. Armor shredded, he's bleeding. The beast keeps attacking as shooters lock on, screaming for Masaru to get back. The bear snatches the arrow, terrifying the hunters. The beast snarls and charges. A shooter barks for the squad to line up. Masaru's arrow slams straight into the bear's paw. A resident screams at the bleeding hero to run before he's killed. Beast closing in, Narami readies his final traps. Even wounded, he's pushing to reach that place. The bear catches up, slamming his back. Masaru slumps by a tree, exhausted, 100 meters to go. His healing is hitting its limit and the output is weak. He just needs 1 minute of focus. Let's try to make it even faster, his healing. Facing a bear, the hero knows he's finished. He finally finds the people he's desperate to save and immediately starts apologizing. He hears a voice as someone strikes the bear. Adelina strikes hard, calling the man's defeat a total fluke. If they're just blocking his intel, he's done playing nice. Masaru's stunned by her new look and demands answers, but she tells him to thank her first. Adelina saved him, but she's taking the win. She tells the hero to thank May. Without her, she never would have made it in time. Masaru hunts the demon bear as the girl spots the panicked rabbit. Adelina turns to her friend and agrees to listen. Narami might be a joke with no filter, but she insists they aren't his puppets. If it's just the rabbit's imagination, no big deal. Adelina reminds May, Masaru said mistakes are okay. Rabbit admits hearing two voices. An impossible second voice rings out, and she fears for the hero's fate. May sobs, begging Adelina for help. Narami warns a head pat won't cut it after she just saved him. She wants to survive, but doubting her odds, she squares up for a fight. She landed a solid hit, but the bear's still standing. Masaru screams for her to run. Covering him will get her killed. She mocks him. Did he really think a young girl would brave this mission solo? Adelina signals the villagers to spear the beast. Narami's stunned. The girl explains everyone showed up because they trust May. Villagers lure the bear into a trap under a rock. The beast shatters their spears, catching a stunned Adelina completely off guard. Masaru intercepts the bear, blocking the strike with his sword. He thanks everyone and takes it from here. Buying time to recover, he's grateful he's not fighting alone in this new world. Narami takes on the demon bear. The beast lunges to devour him, but he smashes its jaw with a sawn-off trunk. Masaru instantly swings at the enemy. The beast strikes first, slamming his back and sending him off the cliff. Focused midair, he hurls his weapon into the massive crossbow to trigger it. The arrow hits the rock, dropping the bear and Masaru into the trap. Masaru pities the beast, but they need this land to survive. Terrified, Adelina peers into the trap and screams for Masaru. Narami hears her from the trap, mocking her panic as if he'd actually died. She rushes him smiling, then suddenly decks him. He asks why she did it. Adelina says everyone's worried about him. A neighbor celebrates the win, but Masaru cuts him off and points elsewhere. Pointing to a tree, he explains he used it to snag the cliff edge mid-fall. Adelina realizes the forest blocked the bear, saving Masaru and the village. The hero claims nothing is more reliable for saving their lives. The hunters confirm the demon bear is dead and celebrate their victory. Narami's happy until she suddenly shuts down, terrifying the group. Turns out he's just fast asleep. The villagers cheer him and head home. At the village entrance, May finds Masaru slung over a beastman's shoulder. Mid-break, Hera eyes Narami and tells Victinius it's beautiful. Praising his success, the goddess calls it expected and asks if he realizes she chose him. Hera claims Victinius is free, reminding her that no god helped her break her chains when the demon bear attacked Masaru. Before the final battle, the goddess descended to the lower world to fire him up. The goddess denies doing it directly. Masaru is her apostle, and she has to protect him. Hera confirms it follows divine law, but claims the motive is different, asking Victinius if he knows the real reason. Hera says things are normal, the bear's handled, peace has returned, and the city is booming. She toasts his victory, and he joins in. They celebrate the new world. Days later, the demon bear is dead, and Masaru jumps straight into city planning. He spots uninspired residents. Stunned by the massive area, one guy asks what the fence and white line are for. Narami agrees, it's time to talk. First, the living space is already set. The white line marks the zone, and that inner fence is the house's foundation. A resident asks why he can't build wherever he wants and demands an explanation. He calls it land planning, a system for building houses and shops that accounts for foot traffic and noise. It's like a natural disaster. Proper positioning makes guarding easier and cuts the risk. With the slime confirmed safe, the hero orders underground tunnels and a sewage system for every house. Adelina recalls Masaru's coastal hygiene lecture. This path drains rainwater and sewage. He praises her memory, noting the sewers are built to keep the city safe and clean. The resident asks to tour the house and village, but the hero screams absolutely not. Narum warns the city's filth will trigger a deadly plague, killing everyone. He's stopping this mess before it hits their new city. Sturesti calls the talk unpleasant, and the hero agrees. Third, you get one house plot, strictly within the white lines. Two residents stop him, demanding more land. One wants bigger borders, while the other needs space for his family of 6. Masaru promises 2-story homes for the whole city, guaranteeing more comfort than ever. Residents are stunned. They're moving into 2-story stone buildings. Crowds rush the builders, some think it's a dream, and everyone's hyped for their new luxury homes. Narami asks Adelina why these 2-story buildings are special. They've seen the same thing in the port cities. She says it's a hotel or high-rise, since 2-story stone houses are a luxury most can't afford. In the capital, status dictates your home: wood for commoners, brick for the rich, and stone for the elite. The hero finally sees why they're so happy. Morale's high and everyone's fired up to build new homes. Masaru moves to architecture, showing off the column he and the guys built. A resident realizes the fence was the house's foundation. He'll explain the tech later. Today, they finish the build together. A local recognizes the build and asks if it's stable. Naromi confirms it's a solid wood frame made of beams. He follows his allies' lead and sticks to the plan, but the men think they've got this. The chief realizes the hero meant stones between the columns. Masaru confirms, and they gather the finished blocks. He reminds them to add the topper, realizing they did it with Adelina. He agrees, boil slaked lime with seaweed and hemp to create lime solution. Apply this to stone and it gets even stronger. Here's the result. They used clay for road materials, turning slaked lime into a secret weapon. Adelina notices Masaru knows way too much and asks what his real job is. He was gathering materials, but feels at home delivering to the craftsmen, helping out while learning the trade. He's no pro, but his experience and skills let him build anything. He suspects his past work was illegal. May now labels Masaru a villain. He went too far, but helping others is all that matters now. May apologizes, but Narami tells the residents to learn from their mentor and get to work, while he drops off supplies at every site. The locals get to work. May fires him up, promising they'll build a city. The whole village is hauling stones and raising pillars, with several houses already finished. A month later, Masaru surveys the city. May's prepped everyone for the installation, and the trial work is officially done. She asks how he uses the toilet. He sits down and says that's all. The rabbit awkwardly backs away, catching the hero off guard. He says once mass production and setup are finished, the job's finally done. May beams, noting the city's massive growth. Housing's fine, but Masaru wants fields too. Plus, the local industry needs a serious upgrade. The rabbit screams, asking if he understood. He strokes her head, telling her not to panic. They'll handle everything. A villager shouts for Masaru. They're in trouble. The hero's confused by the rush until a man reports a crash at the city gates. Narami assumes it's just cargo, but the local says it's something else. He declares humanity's fall as they find bodies littering the ground. Villagers claim humanity fell just like Masaru, but one man denies it. He recognizes that armor. He's the one who drove them out of the port city. These are the Great Kingdom's knights. Leader freed the royal shield thanks the chief, introducing Desta and the bedridden Cordo. Delina and Masaru are stunned as elite royal knights arrive, outranking the coastal guard. Fried thanks the hero, stunned by his restoration magic, and asks for his name. Masaru introduces himself as a traveler. Adelina warns of the divine message rank, and Norami fears it'll spread. Frade tries to ask her name, but she beats him to it, revealing she's Lancelot's niece from the coastal city, stunning the knight. He's honored. The whole kingdom knows Lancelot's a hero. She's the allies' ambassador. Freed realizes their leader has major connections. The headman smirks, warning these connections are a front for the knights to raid the city again, just like Ikamoti. Fried and the knights are stunned, but the chief cuts them off, declaring Kimono Hido will help. Masaru taught him everyone's different, but what are the consequences? The chief knight says the king's life is at stake while they hunt a demon beast. Masaru and Adelina lock eyes, the bears behind this. Fried names the one-horned devil, a six-legged demonic horse the hero recognizes instantly. The hero reluctantly admits a beast ate the horse. Knight asks about the bear, and Masaru realizes Fried knows. A demonic bear attacked their research team, forcing the other troops to desert. He warns the city is dangerous and offers to lead them to the kingdom. Narami cuts him off. The bear is gone and the area is safe, leaving the knight stunned. Fried's in shock. How is this even possible? The hero suggests checking the animal and horse carcasses stashed in the fridge. He's shocked they have a dead horse. He apologizes, but Masaru's baffled. Why the interest? Isn't the king's only job slaying demonic beasts? Look at their reaction. Is that dead horse really worthless? Fried asks for the horse. Narami knows he should technically refuse. He claims a bear mauled it, but with only the neck damaged, he kept it for raw materials. 6 legs in peak condition, and the code is flawless. It's tiny but has a horn. Fried's thrilled, and Masaru's loving the reaction. Hero says royal knights can easily afford a horse. The knight picks a fight, but his partner stops him, defending the hero. Narami says these materials are worth a fortune. He's paying full price, and that horse bounty is pure profit. Fried offers a deal. If the price isn't right, he'll pay Masaru everything he can, plus a reward. Hero sees the king needs that horn, and the knight ignores the gold to finish his mission. Forget honor and status, some things money just can't buy. He's playing the deal perfectly to bleed them of every last coin. He's stressing the horse's reward. Negotiate all he wants, the knights are getting paid. Masaru hatches a plan and joins their journey to the kingdom. The men are out hunting, so he'll handle the negotiations. Share the cotton, selling it unlocks even better loot in the kingdom. Skeptical, the knight tells Fried he's already confirmed the merchants are business partners. The chief knight agrees, but Masaru can't promise the deal will work. The hero insists they can both do it. Fried accepts the deal. Narami briefs May. Once they're free and recovered, they'll retake the city. The rabbit fumes, so the hero tries to talk it out, insisting the eastern street is safe. Adelina tells him to step up and asks for his plan. He claims he was finishing his house's facade and stayed to wrap up before leaving town. He asks if the beds are delivered. She says yes, but not for the houses still under construction. She mentions a mountainside city spot and asks if it should vanish. Masaru explains that a sewer system means no more washing with stale water. Only a few upstream mansions have baths this huge. Burning that much wood daily would strip the forest bare. Hero says that's what hot springs are for. Adelina has no clue what he's saying. He explains the volcano heats the water, and as the earth recedes, the spring flows out to fill the baths. May asks what's happening, should she shake the ground to get it out. Adelina knows digging this up turns it into a prime streetside house. Masaru blames water for the trouble. Forget the springs, his map skill just located an underground water vein. He didn't think this was possible yet, hoping their skills could handle it. She'll cook for him first, certain she can solve one problem. Masaru's confused, so Adelina snaps him back to the serious matter. The temple goddess. His partner asks if he forgot, noticing the hero's grim expression. Norami boldly suggests a statue tribute, while Adelina plans to use the temple for the goddess's blessings. May backs her friend, insisting they prep a house for the goddess. Hiro's sure she'll be fine since the goddess isn't working with them. He tells Adelina to save it for last if she's solo. She needs the right wood first. If she succeeds, she gets a blessing, and he'll ask the goddess what she wants. Agatis bursts through the portal and asks to start now. She greets Masaru and offers to help with his work. Hiro awkwardly thanks her for being on time as always. Adelina's stunned. A real goddess is standing right there, and she screams it's impossible. Victinius brushes it off, tolerating Nurama's attitude since she's actually here to help. Girls worship her beauty and generosity. Masaru asks what's wrong this time, but the goddess says she's finally free to introduce herself and chat. Another goddess steps through the portal, the sorceress Ilesphera, and she's thrilled to finally meet the hero. He realizes she's Victor's sister. She thanks him for his work, saying she and her sisters love watching him. Masaru's stunned this gorgeous goddess opened up, revealing her beauty and pure heart. The kicker, she's a literal goddess. He's glad to meet you too, but he has a question. Hiro revisits their magic talk with a brand new plan. Victinius says start easy and save the hard stuff for later. I teleport a table and tea, inviting your friends to sit. Narami is stunned by the storage skills, but the goddess says there's room for everyone. She prepped this service just for them this morning. Storage doesn't just help, it serves a master. She says skills aren't a given, they're tools meant to diversify and improve your life. Hiro agrees, but asks if every skill needs a special use. They can't change their purpose, and Illa isn't even thinking about it. Master his skills. Let's try, she suggested magic, knowing he'll master his skills. Wait, she pushed magic, certain he. Victinia ducks the tough question and pivots to the image. Masaru wants one for himself and asks if she has one. Shocked by his request, the goddesses grant it anyway. Victinius orders him back before the rainy season, and Illa is thrilled. Illa will handle everything once she's home. For now, they part as friends. Victini offers an image. She'll send it if Narami likes it. The image only shows the outside. Masaru spots bunny-suit Victinius and sends the data to himself. Goddess screams to remove them, but the hero bolts. He's not missing this view. Give him the numbers and he won't need the image. Victinius offers 3 surprises. The hero asks for a life-size statue, but the goddess shuts him down. His statue crew can't see his true feelings. Victinius slams Ilsa's cowardly trick to expose the secret. Ilsa refuses to back down, making Victinia realize these goddesses are far from decent. They're done talking. ILS charges massive magic. Masaru's awed by her power. Massive magic floods the city, terrifying the locals. Adelina saw enough. She begs Isla to train her, but she's in for a massive shock. Isla claims victory over the massive crater, but her team blames Naram for touching the goddess. He's clueless about his crime. The goddess just overreacted. Villagers rush the magic source, wondering what it was. Adelina says the goddesses Victinias and Ilasi Fura are here. He claims Masaru insulted the goddesses, enraging the entire crowd. Everyone bows to greet the goddesses. Victini can't handle it, and Isla's a total rookie. Narami asks about magic, but Victinius reveals she's here because something happened. She wants to talk crabs. Shocked, the hero learns Ira already ate the delicious treats. Masaru mentioning the statue gave the goddesses the perfect excuse to appear. He accepts his fate and faces the residents. With nothing to sell, Victinius suggests they cook a dish the world has never seen. Victinius demands a private talk, but Masaru swears no one gets hurt. He tells the villagers to expand their crops first and build a farming town. Inside the city, they'll secure food safely. Tear down half the buildings, scout for edible plants, and ask him if you're stuck. Adelina, May, and the residents scrambled to finish their tasks. Victinius asks if he's sure, but Masaru reminds her she wanted something tasty. It's a step towards self-sufficiency, and he's betting they can build their own farm. The goddess asks if it's too hard. He adds another perk. Fields between houses block neighbor noise and guarantee a killer view. The city needs a chill spot, so he picks gazebos. He's gardened before, and he'll study to master it. Masaru says the city must match the temple's beauty to lure the goddess down to play. Victinius asks for crabs every visit, and Illa agrees. Playing it safe costs the hero his power, and he knows that pain. The goddesses beg him, nearly in tears. He finally yields, promising to treat them every meeting to the goddess's delight. But he's got a request for everyone. Victinius demands he stop the work, and Isla backs her up. They're talking magic, but answers will have to wait. I suggest talking after the meal, and Vectinius asks for her next move. Masaru asks for a heads up, but the goddess won't commit. They aren't allowed to interfere too much. He says everything's fine, just show up on time. Once freed, he's heading to King's Landing to talk business. He needs the goddess's blessing to win. Days later in Gratus, a knight reports the king's messenger has arrived to deliver the news. The rest of the unit returns tomorrow, and the king demands a full report. He just needs the demon beast's horn. 2 weeks later, Masaru reaches the capital. As he exits the carriage, he's asked if he enjoyed the ride. 7 days on the road, and the hero is screaming from exhaustion. Knight says the boy was in the cart and had it easy. Narmi groans about his aching hips, but Fried says they've already arrived. In Grades, the knight claims it's the continent's largest kingdom. Goddess meeting over, Masaru hits the capital to sell his demonic beast hall. He ruled the port city for years, but tonight, his thoughts were only on Sam. The elder pushed the hero to try, he could do anything. Naromi agrees, but Hibiki shocked everyone by taming Long. Gramps is stunned he knows the truth. He told Free the owner was just like Masaru, he wanted to stay, but his successor and the angry mob forced him out. Time and envy destroy everyone. He won't blame the city's kids, but he still doesn't care. The boss seals deals to keep the peace, but Masaru's determined to save the rabbit family. Preet says everything's here, but the king comes first. He's off to Desta, telling the hero to wait. Narami hits a stall, stunned by bizarre fruits he's never seen before. He demands the king, but the knight wants answers first. Fried leads the hero to the guild and tells him to wait. Masaru demands answers before facing the king. Hero hits the guild and finds it packed. He walks up to the counter girl, and she asks for his order or request. Masaru decides to become an adventurer and asks her for info. He asks if they buy monsters for coins and what the payout is. She sends him to the next window, where the clerk asks if he's got the materials or is just asking around. He shows Masaru the animal cards. Normal costs 100 copper and 1 silver, magic is 100 silver and 1 gold, and the dragon card hits. Prices vary by merchant, so adventurers hunt for profit. Our hero knows this is the world's only currency. The clerk says size matters. Even common monsters can fetch a few gold coins. He adds the demonic beast is the priciest. This hybrid beast blends demon and animal power, outclassing 200 knights. It's so valuable it could spark a war. Beast teeth fetch 200 gold at auction. Masaru counts the coins, comparing the value to yen. He drops 100 million yen, stunned by the material's insane price. Heading to the castle, Fried asks why Masaru was at the guild. The hero says he was just gathering intel and is ready to meet the king. Knows knights at the king's door demand everyone's name. Wait, at the entrance to the king could mean the. Fried introduces himself and announces their return to the king. The guards let them pass. Masaru's stunned, the king is actually real. The boy stays calm as the king orders him to kneel. He stands to introduce himself, and the king reveals his name, Axion. Feeling good, he forgives Masaru for the first time. He warns moods sour fast and grudges last forever. Fried reports a beastman mountain city and brings Masaru, the beast slayer. Hero yanks a horse head from the portal. The king's impressed and rewards them both. Masaru's keeping his head. He's here to negotiate. The king roars, demanding to know his plan. Masaru's terrified, but now he's weaponizing his rank against the king. Hero apologizes and hails the king. The man claims gods chose the king, but Masaru's already heard it. He glares at the king with disdain, enraging him. The king steps up to shut him down. The king nears, the hero stalls him with talk, and the portal opens. Victinius snaps back. Everyone is stunned. She kept her word, but hoped they'd survive without her. The king's stunned. What's going on? He'd seen the goddess himself at age 30. Hera praises his world's rapid growth, but Victinia takes the credit. She's the one who dumped him here, after all. Victini warned him to behave. She's finally in a good mood, so he better not ruin it. The goddess confirms Hera is already fulfilling his request and hands him the items. He's studied up and doesn't need to remind her. She's a true goddess, unlike his other useless friend. Victinia asks, but he's not talking about her. The goddess asks why she's in the lower world, and Mizuru reveals he summoned her for a favor. Victoria asks if she's meddling with mortals. The MC says relax, they've thought of everything. The goddess demands answers, but he tells her to figure it out herself since she's divine. The king is fuming. The man yells for them to wait and slow down. He's out of time. Victoria apologizes, explaining her long absence from heaven led to her chat with Masaru. She then greets King Axion Finley of Gratis, noting it's been ages since they last met. She notes how young he once was. Time flies and the king agrees but cuts her off. That's not the point. Honored to see Victinia again, he demands to know her connection to the MC. Victini says she's the boss and he's her subordinate, or better yet, her apostle. The goddess scolds his arrogance, but Masaru tells the useless deity to shut it. She snaps back, claiming she's only here for his sake. He says she's here for crabs, but Victinius tells him to shut up for decency's sake. The king cuts in, asking Masaru if his messenger is also a god. The MC denies it, insisting he's just a normal guy like him, then asks why he'd think any different. Masaru stared at his hands. The results were insane. He hid his otherworldly secret as the king stood there, totally clueless. Explaining was too hard, and since he wasn't really the goddess's apostle, he just called the man's name. He asked for a discreet explanation to avoid looking like he was meddling with mortals, but Victoria shot back, "Why should I?" The goddess blushes, calling them friends. The king is stunned and immortal and Agatus are close, but the MC just shrugs, "It'll do." Victinia claims he's just a friend and follower building her statue. Masaru fumes, since when was he her follower? The goddess recalls the statue and orders the king to arrange Masaru Mithro, stunning the entire room. Victinia demands top-tier materials, arriving right on cue. The king caves instantly, but MC questions her motives. Nobody defies the goddess. The girl claims it's for her statue. Masaru offers to face the king, but she ignores him, insisting she's counting on him. Hera portals in, accusing Victoria of overstepping. Terrified, Victoria demands to know where she came from. Hera grabbed her shoulder, demanding a 24-hour sermon. Shocked, she questioned Hera's insane strength, and something heard her. Victinia held up her end and warns him, "Have the crabs ready next time, don't forget." Before vanishing, she reminds him not to forget the crabs, leaving the king and Masaru stunned and speechless. Nervous, the man pinches his nose. The MC asks for forgiveness, but the king is shocked a goddess has a mortal friend. He orders everyone out, ignoring his assistant's questions to get Masaru alone. Masaru is visibly terrified. The king takes his throne, calls it a busy day, and asks the goddess's friend for more surprises. She's just using him. Like the goddess said, he builds her statues and cooks crabs every time he hits Earth. The king wants a statue for his own kingdom, certain the man's skills are elite since the goddess trusts him. Stunned, he asks if the deal is legit. The man confirms. Smirking, the king joins the negotiations himself to honor the goddess. He sets his terms and demands an answer. Why go so far for a one-horned beast's horn? The king hands the MC a scepter carved from a one-horned beast by the founder himself. This beast is tied to his kingdom, where tradition demands every king forge a scepter for his successor. Time's running out. The king preps for a beast that could strike at any moment. Looking grim, he says generations of kings did their duty, and he's no exception. He smiled, claiming he understood, and pushed to continue the deal despite his nerves. Something was off with the white scepter. Masaru asked to see it, and though the man claimed it was the founder king's relic, he eventually gave in. Appraisal reveals the scepter is a poison-blocking unicorn horn slain by the founding king, not a basic one-horned beast. The king calls it nonsense, but Masaru uses appraisal to prove the scepter isn't a beast horn. Panicking, he asked if the deal was dead and cursed. The king eyes him closely, demanding to know if he's lying. Our hero freezes, stunned by the accusation. He calls out the lie. The king admits he's scamming him for those priceless horns. The deal is dead. He shuts it down. Negotiations need mutual gain, and he'll never betray his partner's trust. Masaru stares him down and swears by the goddess Victinia. The man shuts his eyes. The king saw through him. In negotiations, deception is just part of the game. He stops mid-sentence, crosses his arms, and tells Masaru he believes him. He's still buying the horn. Stunned, the hero warns him the price is massive, but the king insists on paying in full. Masaru questions the massive cost, but the king insists one-horned beast materials are pure gold. Owning them is the ultimate status symbol. The king smirked, taking it from the goddess's friend would boost his power even further. MC guarantees a profit, so the man asks again if the deal is on. Masaru grinned, sealed the deal, and shook the king's hand. He heads back to his throne and asks the hero, "What's your next move?" Masaru wants more deals. The capital is loaded with supplies, and he's ready to buy. The king halts the talks for other business, postponing negotiations and asking if he'll stay in the capital. MC shrugs it off. He's just exploring the capital for a few days. The king's impressed. He assigns Masaru a guide to tour the capital and stay in touch. Masaru thanks him. He's found the perfect candidate, a knight unlike any other. Later in the library, someone calls Zag's name and he whips around. The boy demands answers, claiming he's busy. The assistant keeps it short while Masaru wonders if his math skills are actually legit. The men tell Zag to relax, they need a favor. They ask if he's a master craftsman, but Zag says he just knows how to use his hands. It's how. His dad was an army engineer, but now he's in a workshop making bricks and building materials. MC rushes Zag for workshop answers. Spooked, Zag confirms and asks Mr. Freed who the stranger is. Masaru flashes the scroll, declaring him the perfect laid. Masaru flashes the king's letter, introduces himself, and tells Zag to watch over him. He's crashing in the workshop and counting on Zag. MC flashes a sweet smile, leaving a stunned Zag demanding to know what he means. Zag gets the situation, but the MC stops him, drop the formalities and just use his first name. He accepts the guide, but why is Masaru crashing at his parents' house? The MC admits he wants the local brick for a better deal, and Zag's fuming that he's not even hiding it. Masaru asks if the customer is always right. Zag's glad he saved him and points toward the store. They reach the house and he's stunned. His friend admits it's a total wreck. Masaru weighed the purchase, as Zag claimed his father poured blood and sweat into every piece. He inspects the bricks, solid, perfectly fired, and made exactly right. Masaru activates appraisal, firing clay and slate into top-tier bricks. The insane quality catches even him off guard. Every brick was perfectly uniform. The guy's father was a master craftsman. Masaru fumed. One look around proved these guys were clueless at business. He demands a meeting with his father. It's time for business. Zag agreed, called the man their burning bricks, and ordered him to follow. They hit the backyard and Zag yells for his dad about a new client. His father barks from behind, telling him to pipe down. If he hadn't answered, he'd be inside. The boys rush the door and swing it open, finding a man at the table looking completely broken. Masaru meets his first craftsman in this world. Meanwhile, Zag asks his dad why he's skipping the brick making. Is he actually sick? The father screams they're broke, no money for bricks, and zero for food. He was a classic trash father obsessed with business, leaving Zag reeling in shock. He asks where the staff and students went since he's been sending cash, but his dad admits everyone quit a month ago after 3 months of no pay. Zag demands to know where his sister is and why she stayed silent. His father's face drops. He kicked her out to make cash. Zag asks if he really sold her for sex. Dad says she works for a rival and begs her not to make him a monster. The guy smiles, it's all good. Suddenly he swings, screaming he ruined everything and calling him a bad father, catching him completely off guard. He begs Zag to spare his father, then asks the price of their ready bricks. Dad had no clue about the price since Dino handles the money, and it really hurt. Masaru asks about Dina again. Zag reveals she's his sister, then grills his father for doing business without knowing the price. He sized up the room and realized the truth. More staff wouldn't fix these dead sales. Dad claims people are blind to his elite bricks, but Masaru says the workshop looks like a total wreck. First impressions build trust. Quality products are key, but a building supplier's shop has to look as solid as the materials it sells. Masaru says to display the product clearly. A clean setup nails the first impression. Dad asks if the MC is really a client. The son isn't sure, but says probably. Masaru heads to the hotel to give them time. They need to count their loot and bring it to Dina. Zag agrees. MC sets a castle meeting for tomorrow at noon. Zag agrees, but asks why there. Tomorrow morning, Masaru's hunting beast sale info and closing a few side deals. Next morning at the castle, the hero gets the payout sheet for their beast sales and kill rewards. Masaru's wait paid off with a massive haul. He asks for a reward, and the king's assistant tells him he's done so much for the people he can take whatever he brushes it off and pushes the deal forward, but they're still asking which surplus stock he's buying. Masaru agrees to buy wheat and barley, taking 20% of last year's stock without hesitation. The king will sign off once the final amount is set. Assistant offers soybeans, the man agrees, and our hero demands the details. Masaru prioritizes wheat and barley, but he'll take soybeans if they've got M. He offered to buy the entire stock. It wasn't processed and sat in barns, but he bought it all anyway. He hears the price, accepts the terms, and seals the deal. The king rarely attends deal closings, but his presence lets the staff get closer to serve him better. Protagonist warns the king and asks for his take, but despite agreeing, the king is too indecisive to act. The king's servant accepts, promising to call once the goods arrive. Masaru demands to know where the surplus came from. The king reveals some are for disasters, but most are for military campaigns. He tensed up, face turning aggressive. Remembering the rabbit invasions, he knew he was right. Masaru calls the expeditions a total waste, leaving the king stunned. He claims only bad rulers think like that. Expeditions are vital for the state's prosperity. Masaru gets the expansion, but warns that ignoring stability will trigger a rebellion. The king tells him to stop overthinking. Their views are just too far apart. He admitted they were too different, but still offered advice. The man asked what kind. Masaru believes a king must enrich his own land, proving cities can thrive without war or conquest. He invited the king to tour his new Beastman city and the coast to prove his claims were real. Smiling, he says peace is possible and tells the man to think it over. The gods love everyone, so they should drop the conflict and cooperate. The king finds the ideas interesting but disagrees. Masaru warns him, underestimate the beastmen and you'll pay the price. The king and his men panic, but our hero doesn't flinch, he just closes his eyes. Masaru waved them off, calling it a day. He'd return for a final goodbye, but reminded them to pay in gold before leaving. Stunned and exhausted, the king slumps back, asking his servant if his choices were wrong. He claims his choices saved the kingdom, but admits Masaru has a point. The king calls his arrival divine. If he's right, they'd better listen. He confirmed the Lancelot intel and ordered everything ready for his trip to Beastman City. The servant obeys, asking if he should warn the guards. The king just snaps, isn't it obvious? No shields or swords needed. This time, they come in peace. Next day at the castle, our hero thanks Zag for meeting up, but Zag notices his confusion. Good thing he was close. Seeing Masaru's grin, the guy asks if the deal worked. Masaru confirms he got the gear and finally spoke his mind. Zag's spooked by Masaru's guts, but Masaru just asks for his sister. Zag replies she's busy with the finances again. Zag warns him, don't act rashly in front of his sister. Masaru questions his logical reputation, but he's really just overthinking his own talkativeness. The MC tells his guest to relax, he's safe. Zag opens the door to announce they've arrived, and his sister invites them in. She smiles sweetly, says she's glad to meet him, and introduces herself as Dinana. He apologizes for barging in, but she's just happy he showed up. Masaru asks why she's counting the massive hoard. She explains it's her dad's barn, but the inventory is taking way longer than expected. Dina finishes up and offers a seat, but the MC asks to check the barn. She says no problem. Masaru scouts the room, restless from the mountain of raw and handmade materials he can use for everything. He grabs the plate, guessing steel then ceramic. He asks what it is, and she says it's special. Her soldier father invented this light, strong gear, but high costs and rare materials got it rejected. He asked if they were certain. He points at the plates, demanding answers. Dina says she kicked him out yesterday for trying to mortgage the house. Masaru complains they're struggling, but the girl snaps. The debt is the real crisis. Saig claims one big client could wipe it all out. He remembers their plan to land a big client and clear the debt, but he's rich enough to just buy it all. Dina asks for his take. Masaru reflects on the past, makes his choice and speaks up. He's got something to tell them. He points to the stock and asks for a discount on the whole lot. Zag agreed instantly, his sister backing him up. Selling everything would clear their debt, making Masaru their savior. He had a plan and pitched his proposal to the group. Zag grills him on the proposal, but Dina's admits she's got a bad feeling. Grinning, he asks why they and their dad don't move to his city. Zag knew it was insane. Abandon the capital. He and his dad might, but his sister never would. Dina cuts him off, asking if he means his new Beastman city. Masaru confirms and recruits them to help build it. MC promises 3 meals and endless work, plus a private workshop and a crew to help his dad make bricks. Zag questions the sweet deal, but Dina reminds him, this is a Beastman city. She doesn't judge, but this empty city feels strange. Masaru says only a Delina lives here now, but that's about to change. He hunts for broke craftsmen, and the king gives him the green light to hire them. Masaru grins, claiming more manpower means faster growth. He asks if they're hyped, but they look skeptical. He warns they'll fail the city's advanced training without the basics, then tells them to weigh his offer. Dina agrees. Masaru pivots back to the supplies, a 10% discount, and it's a deal. They accept. He offers to pay their debts in gold coins to lighten his load for the journey home. Dina wants to start now and Zag's on board. Masaru agrees but asks why the hurry. The girl wants the debt paid before dad causes more trouble. Zag fears another warehouse disaster, and Masaru senses a disaster coming. They reach the shop and pound the door until a man yells they're already closed. The man recognizes Dina from the brick store and asks if she's back for cash, but shuts her down, no more loans. Zag cuts him off, they're only here to pay the debt. He warns the man, touch his sister and he's dead. Masaru slams gold on the counter, stunning the man who never expected this shop to rake in such a fortune. Dina asks if the debt is cleared. Zag thinks they're finally free, but the man says it's still not enough. Dina asks if her dad borrowed more, but the man claims it's not about the debt, it's still about her father. He asks about the warehouse. The girl confirms it's the one for the plates, and Zag says it's safe since they paid. The man reveals the father illegally rebuilt the warehouse with shelves and a floor bed, claiming the payment won't cover the damage, leaving everyone furious. Leaving the shop, he's exhausted from fixing the old man's mess. Dina apologizes, insisting her dad isn't actually a bad guy. Masaru cools off, claiming he's fine, he just found a new way to vent. The crew is stunned. Zag warns him to stop or face the king's guard, but the guy has an even deadlier plan. He grins, I meant shopping. He's going on a massive spree in this city. Masaru asks if shopping helps them relax. Dina asks if it's for the Beastman city. He says it's half for him, half for the city. Zag asks if this is about the artisan recruitment, and the guy confirms he's hyped for it. This nameless city is still under construction, but their arrival will fuel its growth into a massive metropolis that eventually dwarfs the capital. Masaru's hyped to keep building, but Dina warns this project is massive, way bigger than their father's business. MC loved building, but Dina recalled her father's words. He just wanted to rest and make bricks. She freezes. Zag asks what's wrong, but she just smiles and says she's fine. Dina asks if he's shopping tomorrow. He says yes in the morning, then asks why she's curious. She invites them to stop by, offering a tour of the local shops with Zag and a sweet smile. She offers to introduce her master artisan friends, and Masaru's hyped to meet them in person. Zag warns his sister to reconsider. The MC is even crazier than their dad, and he'll take the blame. Dina's done stressing over bills. She's hitting the market with Masaru for some much-needed fun. Zag knew his sister was right. Tomorrow was gonna be a long day. Next morning, they hit the city shops exactly as planned. He grabs guild animals, but Zag warns they're mutants. Asked for his plan, he has one goal, breeding them. Quail wind cutters drop 5 eggs every 3 days, horned rabbits yield 14 kits a year, and both are delicious. Widow's goats provide milk. Later at the castle, Zag warns him to stay safe. Dina's moving to his city, but Zag's worried he can't join them. Masaru asks what he means. Shocked, the MC asks why he isn't coming, leaving the other guy stunned. Zag asks why, so Masaru reveals the king's deal. He gets his craftsmen, but a gratis squad must stay in the Beastman city. The captain doubles as ambassador, and Zag's been nominated for the job. He hesitates, claiming bad timing since he just got a girlfriend. He's bad with words, but finding a new girl is no problem. Suddenly, Dina calls his name. Masaru asks her name, and a shocked Zag notes she's rarely at the castle. They demand to know the rush. Dina accepts the move to Beastman City, delighting the MC, but Zag questions her true motives. Selling the shop and land to move, she heads to the castle's merchant guild. Masaru asks what the problem is. She hands him a scroll to read. The guild thanks them for their help, and they finally get the intel on their homeland. The house is such a wreck, they're charged for demolition, leaving the boys stunned. Dina asks if Masaru's safe, and if reporting the tyranny is risky, but her brother isn't worried. He's already cut a deal with the king himself. He finally returns looking exhausted. Zag notices he's a mess and asks what happened. He bumped the price but lost the debate. Dina's hoped it'd help them move, but it only spiked their expenses. Back home, Zag sees Masaru's weapon and demands answers, but Masaru admits he hasn't been this furious in years. Zag tells his sister he feared the trade guild was next after the MC crushed Morgenstern, and she understands his worry. They never expected Masaru to skip the bill and do the demolition himself. He keeps tearing the house apart. He eyes his coastal city weapon, finally ready to use it. He asks Zag and Dina about the noise, but they snap back that he's the one smashing everything. Zag calls it overkill to use a weapon on a house, but Masaru just grins. He's thought of everything. It looks crazy, but he uses it to smash walls and turn the debris into gravel. The demo's loud, so they warn the neighbors, while he builds a barrier to block flying debris. Stick to the plan and the demo's a breeze. He'll recycle the scrap and finish by morning. Zag is floored. He's Masaru's ambassador and he's eager to help. He's down, then his name is called. Dad finished the tree and told him to check it, Zag and Dina are stunned he's actually there. MC hired their dad to finish the demo fast and move on. Masaru praises the expert work, and the craftsman kicks off mass production. Zag's shocked he's working on something and asks for the plan. Sick of the guild using them, he'll build a new forge and squeeze them for a fortune. Zag claims he's just a sore loser, not a businessman, while Dina warns her father won't take the job. Between the massive guild reward and extra profit, he's all in. Zag's glad his dad hasn't changed. Masaru tells him to help his father, then they're done. Once the house is finished, he's heading back to Beastman. Zag agreed, used to his madness. It's thrilling but terrifying. Masar's building a base once he has the mats, then leaving in a week. Everyone better prep, especially that guy. MC dumps his girlfriend, Dina bids her friends farewell, and Dad heads out for one last drink with his buddies. Dina asks why the other artisans aren't coming. Is he just looking for an excuse to drink? After striking a deal with the King of Gratis, our MC raids the capital for supplies. His ultimate prize, a massive crew, 6 blacksmiths, 2 tanners, 8 carpenters, 4 tailors, and 4 cooks. He needs allies he can trust, and Zag's already on it. His dad suggests woodworking, asking if he remembers the tools. He does. MC tells the king he's leaving early to trade and gear up, promising to return if needed. The king says he'll miss the merchant guilds, whining after his massive shopping spree. He's glad he didn't invite the castle goddess like last time. Masaru realizes the guy is still traumatized. The king asks if his grand plan is real, building a forge and weapon shop for the merchant guild. MC heard it all. The man claims his shop will be the capital's best, packed with unique displays no one's ever seen. The king asks for a favor, but the boy sees right through him. Since he helped them out, the boy has a parting gift ready. An unseen legend begins in a 3-story stone shop with elite gear lining the walls. Best part, the anti-theft system. Pull this lever, and iron cages slam down over the door and counter. Masaru says the store's innovations will stun the industry, fueling trade and pushing civilization to the next level. The king thinks he's been soloing everything with his status, but if he has manpower, he needs to use it. Masaru nailed it. The city's fatal flaw was clear. They were helpless without him, but one man can't run a city alone. He thanks Axion and vows to stay dedicated, but the king claims he was just talking to himself. Masaru offers a magic tech exchange, but hopes his people aren't prejudiced against the beastmen. He demanded unbreakable recruits. The king agreed, mocking his endless requests. He offered one last handshake, eager to see the city he built. Masaru invites Vectinia and the gods for drinks next time, but the king begs for mercy. You don't just invite deities to a party. Zag calls him late, but he blames the king. Loading's almost finished, and a group's been chatting nearby. The adventurers never saw such happy groups. They got the okay to leave, telling him not to worry. Before leaving the capital, Masaru's party was larger. 8 adventurers and an elf stayed behind to retire and settle in the city. Cheerful and carefree, they're set to train the city guard when our hero gets called out. The adventurer asked for a speech, the group agreed, and Masaru reconsidered. This crew was way too carefree. He hops in the carriage, thanking everyone for choosing to settle this new land. LL build the city and pave the way for their friends back home. Self-correction, exchange might mean trade or a meeting point, armed with these skills. He promised that despite the stress, they'd have a blast making something legendary happen. Masaru thanks Gratis, says goodbye, and turns toward the city. They're off to their new home. Days after leaving the kingdom, the caravan buzzed with talk of swords and the forest. The crew's raving about yesterday's boar feast, and seeing them so hyped makes our MC's day. Masaru asks Zag about the elf girls, but Zag claims he was just curious about elf life and would have known if a new member joined. The elf pulls the curtain, asking if she's not enough. Zag stammers a denial, but a man spots the river from lunch. They stop nearby. The adventurer asks for their ETA, so Masaru checks the map. At the River Road Junction, they're halfway to Bespin City. On schedule, they'll arrive in a few days. The duo is stunned. Storage and map skills are rare even for veterans, and the girl's never seen anything like it. A human building a Beastman city. Despite the war, he's a hero there. Masaru defends them. They're good guys who saved his life. The adventurer grinned, itching to reach the city, and the elf could see it all over his face. He checks the kitchen. The crew has lunch leftovers but needs a restock. A cook offered wild birds for a taste test. Herbs were the backup, but Masaru agreed, trusting their pro hunter to handle it. Masaru the elf and Zag go hunting. Masaru's stunned by her technique, but Zag can't tell her bow apart from a human's. Zag claims he can hit any bird by reading their flight paths, but do they really need to understand their prey? The elf warns of thieving birds that rob travelers for fun. One just swiped her water bottle. He asks how they taste. She winks and calls them delicious, so he raises his hand and vows to hunt those annoying birds again. Zag's a boar hunter struggling with heavy birds, but the elf senses his potential and tells him not to quit. She hands him her bow to snipe the bird before it flees, but Masaru warns him, this weapon is lethal. The elf grills him about the bow, so he claims he misspoke and offers to show her a replica he made. She agrees. She grabbed his bow but couldn't string it. Is this even the same material? Masaru claims mithril reinforcements match his strength, but the elf calls his bluff and demands a demo. He hesitates and she cheers, calling his bluff. He just overpulled the bow. Masaru learned his lesson, but he's keeping it a secret. He targets a tree, but the elf calls his bluff. He just says he's got bad memories. He brags about hitting like a bear, but it's all talk. He needs to grab a bow. Masaru fires. The girl's stunned he pulled it off, and Zag watches the powerful shot pierce straight through the trees. A scream rings out. Sobbing, the MC admits he's hit someone again. Tracking the scream, she leads him to a group under wolf attack, stunned to see a pack hunting on the open plains. A wolf towers over the stranger, ready to strike. Zag yells it's not the time, and the elf can't fire fast enough. MC leaps in, scattering the wolves and telling the girl to run. She tries to ask his name, but his friends quickly drag her away. He swings at the Volkovs again, feeling the resistance before absolutely smashing through the stone. The elf shoves him back. It's a golem. She blasts the wolves with fire magic. Arrows and swords are useless. A stranger steps in, offering help and ordering them to retreat. Masaru mocks her useless sword, but she's a knight. She won't turn her back on the enemy. The stranger slashes through wolves she couldn't even scratch. Just how powerful is he? Wolves ambush him from behind, leaving the crowd paralyzed with shock. Monsters swarm Masaru, biting his neck as he screams for them to stop. A stunned stranger asks if he's all right. Good. Punchy, yes. No prefixes, yes. MC slays a wolf but takes a hit, using a rare item from his rebirth as. Masaru handles the wolves solo and tells the girl to head back. She agrees. Furious, he demands how they dared touch a synthetic fiber from another world, making them regret it before blasting them aside. He draws his weapon and slashes wildly, punishing them for ruining their clothes. Back at camp, Masaru's glad everyone survived, but Zag tells a surprisingly hyped injured man to focus on his training. He was surprised, but dumping all his mana into strengthening magic made the fight a breeze. He'd already regained a third of his mana, letting him buff his body and tank the wolf bites unscathed. Masaru is summoned to meet the leader and his servant. He questions the elf's presence, but she's just visiting her kin. Inside the tent, he finds two elf girls, one sitting on the floor, smiling sweetly. The girl reveals they're dark elves and thanks them. Our elf confirms it, their kin. Relieved they're safe, he asks why the golems attacked, but won't force them to talk. Ignoring his question, the elves shamelessly admit they're struggling to find a home. The girl asks to join the group, and Masaru easily agrees. The girl knew it was a big ask, but they had nowhere else to go. Realizing they're in, she asks if they're sure, but he reminds her he already gave his word. The elf questions their luck. Zag tells them to adapt to Masaru's antics, and the beast calls them a tough crew. The group hits Beastman's city. May tackles the hero with a hug, and he asks how she's been. Adelina greets him, and he's glad she's well. He asks for the chief, but she says he's busy working in the residential area. They meet again, and the man brings a crowd. Masaru explains they're artisans, new allies ready to build the city. They ran into dark elves on the road, and they're sticking around for a while. The dark elves gaze at the mountains. The girl is stunned as the leader explains humans helped build this city, leaving her in awe. The tall girl suspects the dark-haired man, but the leader points to the crowd's kind smiles. Lemian befriends the elves, and their leader immediately throws a welcoming party. He says this goes for the leader and her crew, but she reminds him they haven't even met. Dark elf leader Emeralda and assistant Irina meet the MC, who introduces himself and tells them to feel at home. Evening hits, crowds swarm the fountain, food is set, and the air is buzzing. MC meets goddess Illisafira. She apologizes for the delay, saying the kids wouldn't give her a moment's rest. Masaru asks if she's settled into teaching. She's already teaching magic as promised, because gods always keep their word. The girl said she rarely touches lives in the lower world and didn't expect it to be this fun. She's sad to leave, so he asks what she means. He's back and the goddess has nothing left to teach. Her job is done. He asks if the magic goddess has anything left to teach. Illa brings up the crab case. To follow God's code and avoid interference, he has her teach the city magic, but she's limited to his own spells. The goddess had nothing left to teach. Seeing her grief, he suddenly had an idea. He demanded private magic lessons starting tomorrow, scheduling an hour daily while he managed the masters. The goddess warns it's against the rules, but he insists his talent makes it okay, demanding she teach him new magic. He's local and ready to train. If he masters magic, she stays a teacher. She knows he's right. She asks why he's wasting time on her, instead of hiring pros to build the city. Masara vowed to keep the fun going. Ayla finally understood why her sister kept visiting the lower world. Sunrise hits and study starts instantly. Ayla shuts down his whining. He asked for this, so no distractions allowed. Since his sister already explained magic, the goddess skips the lecture and tells him to start releasing his inner power. The branch glows in his hands. Ayla corrects his form, and he obeys his master, launching her into the sky. The goddess says air has less resistance, so he blasts his entire mana pool at once. Surrounded, Phlebas, Bored, and Miserbriet stand firm as Illa gasps at his mana surging vertically. Next, they test wind magic, but the goddess warns him. His massive mana makes it too dangerous. He ignored her, and a massive whirlwind erupted, terrifying the city. They study for days, but one day she's a no-show. Unthinkable for a goddess this serious to be late. They were hyped for compression training until a voice behind them revealed Illa sent her. He stutters a greeting to his old friend Victinia, saying it's been way too long. Ayla asked her to teach him magic. To honor her sister's wish, she'll train him without mercy. Glad they're bonding, the goddess orders him to get to work compressing his magic. He cursed, wondering why she showed up instead of her sister, and she's clearly in a bad mood. Masaru warns Victoria to chill or get more wrinkles, but she snaps back that he's the one who needs to pull it together. Training starts now. Master her or face consequences worse than a tornado. Working at a home center, a gas cylinder falls off a car, snaps its cap, and rockets into a wall. Maesri explains his actions, and the goddess tells him to gather and fire his magic again. He brushed her off. It was useless. He didn't understand magic compression, let alone gathering energy long-term. She tells him to visualize the vessel and fill it with magic. More power means more compression. She knew if she could do it, he could too. Surprised by her confidence, he instantly activates his creation skill. A massive magic orb appears. He imagines a vessel to contain the power. A massive sword manifests in his hands. He's thrilled. Magic actually works. He apologizes for his doubt, admitting her advice was the key. Victinia hesitates to speak. He asks what's up, but she wonders if it's really him. She quickly denies it, questioning her own thoughts. He asks why she's so gloomy, but she tells him to focus on his magic. He notes the wind is weaker this time. Suddenly, he retracts his words. Victinia questions his hesitation. He hits the dirt and wonders what she really wants to say. He figured it was city business, recalling his knife-making lessons. The men had finished the multi-purpose blades, and he confirmed they were ready for sale. They don't get it, so Masaru spells it out. He meant make them the same, literally. He raises the blade, noting that while the size looks identical, the surface finish is a different story. Hammer marks were a deal-breaker. These knives weren't market-ready, so when they argued, he challenged them to a comparison. He pulls a ruler from storage, calls it a hometown measuring tool, and orders them to grab knives. Musser aligns their knife with the sample and drops a ruler across. If the thickness matches, there's zero gap. He recalls his school days, where a 120th of a millimeter error meant failure, a standard the guys find brutal. After vocational school, the assistant master worked at a rural shop, spotting 150th millimeter errors with just a glance or a touch. MC hands him a knife, claiming he forged it by hand without skills, and tells him to measure it. Master checks the thickness, zero gaps. Masaru admits he lacked pro tools, but he still nailed the precision. Since they're the same race, they'll master these techniques and everything else he has to offer. He loved it. He hadn't been this fired up in years, and the others were ready to train under him to reach his level. MC spilled everything to Victinia. In 3 years, he'll have nothing left to teach. Her reaction proved his assumptions were dead wrong. He mentioned his new farm and city news, but she didn't say a word. He says it's time to start the sanctuary and confirms the girl's claim. This city is officially hers. Recalling her sister's letter, she asks if he's forgetting something. Returning citizens have one mandatory task to complete first. Her words sink in. Realizing the truth, he calls her name and announces his return. Victinia beams a greeting, but he asks if she's actually upset. Seeing her blush, he imagined her welcoming him with a warm smile. The goddess asks what he's thinking, but he stays silent, claiming she'd get too carried away. She pries for answers, but he bolts, refusing to talk as he heads to the artisans. Illa watches them, sensing her sister has something big to say, but she looks adorable next to the MC. She reviewed the dark elves Masaru saved, scanned the data, but found 0 errors. The goddess needed to dig deeper, refusing to believe anything could exist beyond the god's control. Illa was visibly shaken. Why were the dark elves under attack? Irina returns to the city to find Emeralda waiting, then asks the chief about the other dark elves. She says everyone's safe and kind. Arana wants the deal and the leader agrees, but they still have to act. The duo asked for a favor, agreeing to talk after dinner. MC apologizes for the delay and brings a guest. The leader cuts to the chase, but reintroduces herself first. Emeralda reveals she's the Dark Elf Queen and thanks them for sheltering her clan, leaving the boys stunned. She's from Stenzen, a mountain kingdom 10 days west. Familiar golems attacked and they fought back. Were they really fleeing golems on the plains? Emeralda doubts anyone else survived. Masaru says a whole nation was erased. Are golems that strong? Zag asks why they're sharing this now. Months have passed since they hit the city, and the leader says they need time to regroup. Emerald's desperate to learn her homeland's fate and needs help reaching Stenson. He gets her point and asks why they attacked. She says it was too sudden, but he suspects a grudge. Zack doubted it. Dark elves are peaceful nature dwellers with a spotless reputation. Stunned by the kingdom's attack, the MC demands the full story. Irina returned from her post to find the enemy already inside. They de-breached the moat and stormed the castle's rear, an inside job. A few citizens managed to escape. Masaru asks for golem traits, and she recalls seeing various beasts like wolves, bears, and monkeys. Spiders were among them. He snaps up, face grim. Zag asks if he's figured it out. Masaru stutters, leaves the rest to the guy, and bolts to his room. He hates talking about spiders. Zag was terrified, but too proud to admit it. He rambled about allergies, finally realizing why Vectinia warned him to avoid this city. Smirking, Sad calls the goddess a pathetic excuse and asks if he's really that scared of spiders. He agrees, claiming he's just a normal guy with limits. He doesn't mind the forest, but seeing those creatures makes his skin crawl. Masaru hesitated. Intel was low, the odds were stacked, and the city's critical growth meant he couldn't leave now. A chime rings, a message from the goddesses. He opens it, expecting Vectinia. Illa reveals even gods can't verify these monsters. Investigate the mystery, and he scores a skill coupon. He takes full responsibility, promising his total support to fix this mess. Spider fear gone. He's getting Emeralda to Stenzen and protecting her at all costs. The girls cheer, but Zag senses trouble. He invites them all for a test drive. He invented the Masaru carriage, a high-speed tricycle powered by humans instead of horses. He finally crafts leaf springs to kill the shock, and he'll reinforce the frame once the data is in. Zag asks for the diagram. He agrees, but needs to gather data first. He boosts the terrified boy into the carriage, telling Emeralda he's scouting the hilltop and will be right back. Masaru and Zag set off instantly, Zag driving while the boy rides inside. Goblins swarm the road. Zag screams they're gonna crash, but MC just mows them down. They return. Saga hits the dirt in shock, but the MC calls it decent with room to improve. Zack calls Masaru's magic vital. He doesn't look it, but he's a security master. He just needs a few days. Vectinia arrives as the MC tweaks his invention. He tells her to wait, he's almost done. She's clearly devastated. He asks what happened, but she won't give details. She just has a request. She demanded he kill every creature and Stankin. He was stunned. They head to the city. Zag wants to see his experiments in action, leaving Masaru devastated. Asked what's wrong, he blames the goddess, but Zag thinks he's just doubting his invention. Irina worries if they have enough for the 10-day trip, but Masaru's spatial storage is already packed with food. She understood. MC told Zag to help move the girls' gear while Emeralda watched, looking heartbroken. Looking sad, she tells Irina to stay safe. Irina asks her to join them, but the leader's mind is already made up. Emeralda tells her to face the truth. They must accept reality and pass their country's memories to the next generation. Irina agreed, honored to serve. She'll finish the mission as promised. Emeralda wants in. Irina invites Adelina, and she's down. MC asks a favor. While he's away, Emeralda will teach her how to rule the city. She agreed and hit the books immediately. She refuses to end up with a meathead like Lancelot. The leaders can't handle this massive influx alone, giving Adelina the perfect chance to step in. She agrees, but only if he takes her along next time. Zag questions her true goal in the elf kingdom. He asks for an update when she returns, but Adelina retorts he doesn't even look like a knight. Masaru asks how they got so close, but Zag calls it normal city talk. He already sent word to Gratis about the Stenson attack. It'll hit the capital while they're still on the move. Zag thinks he's overreacting, but Masaru warns, if the kingdom fell, they need to tell the others ASAP. He wants to end this fast and head home. These three are more than enough. They board his invention and race full speed toward the kingdom of Stenson. Isla asks if Victoria's okay, but she says she's fine. Her heart ached, unable to forgive her past, she burst into tears. Irina says they're close. Masaru admires the city, but warns her to remember her leader's words. They arrive to find golems sieging the capital. Reality hits hard. Zag's never seen a city completely stripped of life. She rushes to check her home, but Masaru warns it's too dangerous. She refuses to just stand by after seeing this tragedy. He told her it's pointless. Everyone in the capital is already dead. Irina snaps, demanding how he knows there are no survivors without checking. Zag retorts he never lies, so they better listen. He reveals the goddess's words, and Irina's stunned. Did she really order him to wipe out all life? She realized he knew the city's fate all along. That's why he claimed no survivors. She wasn't buying his lies for a second. Masaru noted Adelina's beastmen barely reacted to the gods, while Irina left to find survivors. Zag finally gets the MC's depression. He knew what was coming. Irina asks if he's for real. He claims the king dubbed him a divine apostle and ordered his obedience. MC calls the apostle overkill, but the king clarifies he and the goddess are just friends. Zag's never heard of this. The guy's presence outshines an apostle, but he just shrugs, claiming being blunt with gods is totally normal. He tells the group to watch the capital fall while he wipes out the remaining golems. Rina offers to join. Zag questions the capital's end, and Masaru warns them. He's doing something cruel today. Looking somber, he vows to blow up the golems and the capital today. Irina asks in shock if he'll really destroy the kingdom. He says it's the only way to fix it. She asks why they're being so extreme instead of just destroying the golems. Zag agrees it's total overkill. Irina claims Emeralda won't allow it, but MC already got her permission. Right after getting the task, he briefed the queen and goddess. Emeralda's fuming. They actually had the nerve to ask her permission to wipe out the earth. Victinia says the kingdom is dead, only golems remain, and they aren't leaving. Tearful Emeralda screams that monsters slaughtered her family in the castle, and now they're stealing her home. Do they really have the right? Victinia apologized, but they rejected it. She asked what to do and collapsed. The queen asks why God won't help, leaving the hero stunned. He approaches the girl on the floor, claiming God sent him to save them. Fate is sealed. He'll give her his full power to recover, and they can stay here. He'll manifest anything they want. It's a shock, but Victinia is a goddess. She created this world, and she loves it more than anyone. Masaru tells the queen forgiveness can wait, but once the capital is rebuilt, he hopes she'll finally forgive Victoria. He hates seeing his friend look so broken. The goddess sits there sobbing, face flushed red, while Emerald admits she might never forgive her. They need to survive and make it. Victinia's stunned, but the leader has one small favor. Story over, he tells Irina she must witness the kingdom's fall as the queen's proxy, the queen's final order. Zag confirms Masaru's plan is a go. As the girl watches, Irina realizes she's the one who must remember Stenson's past. She asks if everyone's dead. He confirms it, time to summon the goddess. Irina trusts him with the kingdom's final stand, until the Dark Elves return home, there on his side. Teaming with beastmen and brawling with kings was pure exhaustion. He never expected this. He arrives to find the same golems that attacked the city. Something sinister about these monsters, magic, and the remnants tainting the region. He'll blow everything to pieces to keep Victini from ever crying again. This ends now. RMC's ready to wipe this place off the map. He's testing a move from a novel, and he's doing it right now. He'll win with pure skill. Using his secret spell, he domes the capital and spikes the oxygen. He triggers air control, swaps to storage, then cycles back to air control. He uses air control to rain the flour over the capital until everything turns white. He triggers arson, infusing the flames with magic. Oxygen and flowers fuel a blaze that incinerates everything, even the surrounding mana. Leaving the city, he regrets the chaos but vows to bring peace. He'll do whatever it takes to make it happen, that's a promise. Prep finished, he triggers dust explosion, blasting a massive fire pillar into the sky. The stylish man and elf girl stare at the ruins from the hill. Stunned, he looks away. Masaru's outdone himself again. The destruction is absolutely insane. The elves freeze as Zack approaches. Panicked by her blank stare, he asks if she's okay. She sadly wondered if they'd ever rebuild their home, but he quickly promised they'd make it happen. The destroyer suddenly appears, catching everyone off guard. Zack tries to break the tension, but the hero coolly reminds him that worrying is a waste of time. Tension mounts, Masaru sighs, but his teammates stay dead silent. Zack breaks the silence, wondering why his friend isn't happy, but the guy misses the hint. He brags to Zack that the blast was massive, forcing him to burn all his mana on heat resistance before slamming into a rock and wrecking his shoulder armor. Zack jokes with the elf about Masaru's deadliest trial, confident he'll survive. The girl's shocked he dove off the cliff so easily, while Masaru curses his broken. A message window pops up, shocking everyone. Zack suspects the gods, but it's actually Isla. The hero knows his strict boss just wants him back ASAP. He reads the message and shouts, drawing confused stares from his two friends. He sprints in a panic. Remembering the incident, he switches plans. Saphira thanked him and asked about the golem case, reminding Masaru his work wasn't done yet. He arrives and gets to work, scanning the fragments with magic. Disgusted, he finds a monster's corpse. These beasts rot in place, devouring souls and mana to petrify victims, but the name and description are missing key info. Another window flashes, breaking his focus. It's Illa again. She accepted the research and summoned the gods, but demanded more fragments. She promised a massive reward and all her secrets later. He didn't expect her to handle it herself. He felt strangely. He remembered the massive cleanup after that weird magic blasted the golems and the earth. He doubted the need to act, but his mission was finished. He spots a slider. The message isn't finished. The goddess wants him to prep that crab for dinner with her sister, but since it's a personal favor, he gets no skill ticket. Masaru recalled her tear-stained face. Vectinia still couldn't let go. He couldn't leave her, but something else caught his eye. The message wasn't over. Isla offered to do anything she could, sending his mind racing toward fantasies of clumsy bunny girls spilling drinks. Blushing with shame, he scrambled to justify his pure intentions, but once he cooled off, one massive problem still remained. Standing on the ruins, he realized this place was no source of light. Gulping, he scales the hill to scout the stents and ease his mind. Zack calls out from behind, asking Masaru if he's finished his business yet. He's finished, but something's still nagging him. His friend asks what's wrong. He shouts, "I knew it, that's why I'm here." Masaru's stunned. Did he accidentally say his thoughts out loud? Zack pivots, warning that Gratis Knights are coming to investigate. He asks for a cover story, but the hero already filed a report. No sweat. Awkward silence. Zack's baffled, his friend is ashamed, and soon they're both totally lost. Masaru looked away, confirming he was right. He'd read his mind. Masaru finally sighed in relief. Hero asks if the knights are coming, and he confirms they'll help if requested. He snapped back, refusing any help. Zack's right, they need help clearing this trash. They just arrived, but his friend is already itching to leave. The hero panicked. He couldn't let the knights grill them, but with Zack staying silent, he had to wing it alone. Masaru figured staying to clean meant the beastmen weren't returning yet, but his comrade added they still had to explain the situation. He scowled, hating the delay. He'd already promised everyone he'd be right back. His face burned as he realized May was gonna be pissed again. He pictured May in her bunny outfit, fuming because he's late. She's waiting, and lately, he's realized he actually likes making her mad. Amidst the ruins, the hero knows the mission isn't over. They can't stay, but they can't leave. Zack asks if the knights are the reason, and the hero confirms his suspicion. His ally wanted out, but the Beastman city was off-limits. He knew the facts, but the real problem, he was totally lost. His friend's casual vibe blindsided Masaru. Why not just grab it and go? Masaru stood there, jaw dropped in total shock. Solid advice. They meet Arena and head out. 2 days later, the knights arrive and order everyone up. Stunned by the scene, he immediately hunts for Zack and Masaru. Another night, someone approaches Captain Frida with a mysterious sign. A sign calls this a treat for the Knights of Gratis. Masaru wiped out every monster in the city and now wants to debrief at a nearby coastal town. The map marks Beast City and the group's location. Tired of debating a return to the Beastmen, our hero finds a backup, another city to wait for the Knights. They hit Aram Port. He shouts to find help and restore Stenson while they're here. In the carriage, Zack asks how they'll recruit the villagers. Massar jokes about brain muscles, leaving Zack baffled and Arena curious. Massar tells them to relax, he's got it all under control. 2 men are walking when a cart blurs past. One screams in terror, baffled by how a horse-drawn cart could move that fast. Masaru and his crew roll through the city gates in a cart that stands out from the crowd. The pair gaped at a horseless carriage zooming past, the first they'd ever seen. The elf notices the stares, and Zack realizes they should have just walked in. The hero loved the attention, knowing the spotlight has its perks. Men haul boards as a cart blurs past. One recognizes the riders, but his buddy snaps him back before he drops his gear. Already hyped, Masaru's even more thrilled when old friends recognize him. The second man finally spots his partner's target. One man shouts our hero's name while the other grins. Meet Captain Cook and Erdem. The carriage stops and the group reunites with old friends. Cook and Erdem demand a heads-up next time. Zack apologized for the trouble, vowing to make amends as Masaru's representative. One guy glanced at his buddy while the other waved him off. No need for apologies, he was. Arena steps out and is instantly spotted. Cook and Erdem are stunned. They didn't expect company, especially not a dark elf with such bizarre skin. The cook's anxious, praying Masaru won't wreck the place again, but Masaru just jokes he might ruin things just a little. Something catches his eye and he looks over. He spots workers everywhere and wonders about the city-wide construction, especially since his friends are joining in. Cook grins, claiming they're just building, while his friend credits Masaru for everything that's happened. Watching the boys work, he asks if he's the reason for their success. They agree, it's all because he built their shovel and pump. The men swore the new gear revived the locals. Everyone was hustling, and Erdem loved the action. He recounts that night's help until Zack cuts in, asking for Masaru. The cook points the way. Waving at the boys, he backs their brick path idea but warns they need drainage for the rain. They're all ears. Masaru snaps back and explains he got carried away. Seeing construction triggers his body to move automatically. It's a curse. Hearing that word, one boy starts panicking. Masaru tries to bail, but the guys stop him, demanding his intel and help. He joins his friends, shocking them with his sudden request. The blonde squints and spots it. The men head back to work, leaving our hero to tackle his curse. Overjoyed, he thanks them and promises to return soon. He stepped from the cart as his crew watched with smiles, all except the elf. Zack turned to Erin. She stood there again, looking heartbroken. He asks what happened, but she denies everything, her eyes locked on him. Masaru returns to the boys to give them more info. The elf knew the hero's inventions saved the beastmen, but she'd never seen him this hyped. Zack smiled, realizing Masaru had once helped her too. The hero helps with a satisfied grin, and Arena calls him her ideal warrior, always ready to save the day. Picturing his inspired smile, she felt completely unworthy. Everyone's shouting for help. From fixing tables to random chores, he tackles every request one by one. Hammer in hand, he checks the steps until another guy calls for help. Another man approaches, recognizing the hero he built a pump for and asking for help fixing it. Masaru fixes the hanger as requested. The woman's thrilled she can finally hang her clothes. A crowd swarms him, begging for attention, but he loves it as he finishes his final task. Walls slam down, boxing him in. He scans the trap. He's in the arena's center, but she appeared out of nowhere. A hostile swordsman flanked him, grinning as he mocked Masaru for returning to bargain. The kid panics as the swordsman fumes, warning him that a hero never tolerates disrespect. A scowling blonde knight in heavy armor draws a massive sword and challenges our hero to a duel. Commander Lancelot waits for the kid to ready up, but the boy mocks him for forgetting to polish his brain muscles. They face off mid-arena. The hero's words stun the commander, who clearly didn't expect this. This guy is a total battle maniac, ditching his duties just to obsess over. Zack and his crew hit the arena. A friend speaks for the commander, who's acting like a total stranger. Zack figures he was just prepping for their meeting. He stared down his foe in fear. It was exactly as he expected. The commander slung his massive blade defiantly, staring down the boy, ready for war. He felt that expectant gaze. Port Commander Aram was a battle-hungry berserker. He always keeps his word, and the commander's recent serious streak proves he's actually a good guy. Masaru agrees to fight, but only after the commander promises to talk and help him later. Deal struck, he takes 1 minute to prep. He checks his status, opening the menu to see his level and point breakdown for every stat and skill. The hero froze in shock. Blowing up Stenson just netted him massive XP. Last time, level 16 was enough to match the commander. Now, he has to hold back just to keep him alive. He eyes Lancelot, sword slung over his shoulder. Remembering Lancelot lives for battle, he knows holding back is an insult. He grins, ready to go all out. He promised to go all out to win, confirming it to make sure they were clear. The commander demands a fight with no restrictions. He grinned. This fight was gonna be legendary. They'd waited forever to finally cut loose, and his opponent was just as hyped. Hiro summons his weapon, but freezes. His enemy sounds exactly like his niece, Adelina. He brushed her off, only asking if she was safe. Turns out she's doing great. She even saved our hero's life. Masaru reaches into the portal for his weapon, but stops at the last second. He tells his friends Adelina built this city and might stay forever, maybe even marry Masaru. Lancelot stands stunned as the boy realizes the commander now relies on the girl, not him. A voice jolts him awake. The commander has one last condition. Squinting, he sets his terms. If he wins, the boy sends Adelina there to hear her true thoughts. He laughs, leaving the commander confused, but the hero doubles down. He's a real uncle. Playtime's over. He draws his blade. Drawing his sword, he sets a condition. Win, and he borrows the carpenter's. The commander agrees. Same rules. Fight until surrender. Overlooking the battlefield, Zack doubted the commander's lead, but Cook warned him. The commander is the real loose cannon whenever Masaru is involved. The fighters locked eyes as the crowd roared. Arena tried to stop the match, but no one dared challenge the commander. To him, combat was a conversation. They clash, boots crushing the earth as their faces tighten with pure intensity. Their strikes blast the air, whipping up massive dust clouds. The elves stunned as the shockwaves reach them, and Zack screams, "This isn't a duel, it's a fight to the death." Masaru attacks, Lancelot defends. The young man chuckles, just as he thought the guy can't win. He keeps baiting his rival to avenge his last loss. This time, everything changes. The commander ends the dream, swinging hard to blast him back. He disarms the hero with a calculated move, catching him completely off guard. He fires a gut kick, but the guy dodges. He never saw it coming. The enemy regroups fast, firing a side sweep. He barely dodges, struggling to keep up. Close enough, the hero strikes the knight's open back. No time to think, another hit sends him flying, jaw dropping in shock. Commander strikes again to settle the score. Masaru panics as the stance shifts. He's in deep trouble. The commander lunges, twisting his hips for a lethal swing. Shaken, the hero drops to one knee. A massive swing shatters his opponent's blade. The crowd gasps, and even the hero is stunned. Lancelot's strike sends a stone block crashing down from above. He aimed again, demanding the boy's next trophy to prove his new strength. The hero stood stunned. His magic sword should have ended this. The knight unleashes more strikes, forcing the boy to block with his broken stump. The elf's now a friend, but this competition terrifies her. Zack agrees. He never expected things to spiral like this. Cook jumps in, impressed by Masaru's invisible sword strikes against the commander. Irnam agrees. That's just how their comrade fights. His legs buckle mid-lunge. The commander mocks his balance, but the opponent isn't laughing. He's just baffled. He pulls a long weapon from a portal, panicking that he needs more strength and speed. He thrusts his weapon forward, manifesting energy beams into a protective shield. The commander grimaces. Turns out that beastman training actually paid off. Masaru was baffled. His stats were higher, so this made no sense. The commander's experience outclassed him. The hero couldn't handle the fluid swordplay as Lancelot shifted into a new attack stance. Gripping his ancient weapon, he analyzed the commander's style, desperate to check his status for a hidden sword technique. The commander's halfway to victory. If this guy doesn't back down, he's losing his head. Lancelot readies his blade against an unarmed foe. High stats kill monsters, but the commander spent months training specifically to hunt humans. The man asks if Masaru gets the situation, but he just shuts his eyes and smiles. He draws his stick-like weapon. The knight thinks strengthening magic is his edge, but pushed too far, the boy finally makes his move. The warrior summons his weapon portal to unleash everything, and his opponent watches with a satisfied smirk. Commander raises his sword, thinking of Masaru's skill storage, a tool that creates items, traps enemies, and forces the fight. The hero vanished instantly. The commander expected a production skill, but then reality finally clicked. Dazed, he watched his enemy retreat, but he didn't care. He'd close the distance in no time. Crouched like a frog on the deck wall, he's back in his world of anime and games, remembering a character's iconic technique as his comrades watch. He describes a fighter summoning and firing weapons from afar. Like a bow, the enemy senses the incoming threat. Rattled, he wondered what the kid was planning. Masaru raises his clenched fist. He summons any item to any spot, but his power is strictly for storage. Masaru pictured Illa, searching her words for the answer. Scowling, he confirmed his storage was packed with enough materials to build anything, even a home center. Portals swarmed above the commander, but the hero's store knowledge and divine skills made this an easy win. He'll forge the entire vault and unleash it on the battlefield. He lowered his hand, finally doing what he'd always wanted. Lancelot's face contorts. Is he ready to face his foe? Crossbows manifest, and the captain realizes the kid built them on the spot. Masaru signals to fire while the knight grins, watching the chaos unfold. Surrounded by loaded crossbows, he insisted the hero was creating them. The four friends watched in speechless terror. Reaching out, the captain compared his opponent to a god, stunned by the display once again. But the hero disagreed. The words felt wrong, and to him, God wasn't all that good. The arrow hit the mark. He clarified he can't turn stones to gold or create matter from nothing. He apologizes, claiming he's just a home center worker, but the commander curses him out. Masaru grits his teeth. The enemy still hasn't given up. Suddenly, he reveals his past before taking command of Port Aram. Ambushed by 100 archers and 100 spearmen, his proud look proves he slaughtered them all and walked away. The hero knew the commander's presence was the answer. Agani aimed and loosed the first volley of arrows. Arrows swarm the target, blotting out the knight. Cook and Erdem scream for the commander to run before he's killed. Lancelot deflects the volley, but one arrow grazes his ear in a lethal near miss. Struggling to block, he realized this man was deadlier than 100 soldiers. Usually, he was the one everyone feared. He survives the onslaught, but Masaru orders a second shot. A dozen arrows swarm the center, nailing the target again. Dust erupts in the arena again, masking the action. The hero smirks, certain victory is finally his. Dust clears and his eyes bulge. Even the crowd roasting his friend freezes in total disbelief. The commander stands his ground, deflecting every arrow with strength they never imagined. Panicking, the kid orders another volley. Arrows lock back onto the enemy. Lancelot realized this was anything but a sword fight. He grins, eyes shut. This is a first for him. He doesn't even look as arrows whiz past, barely grazing him. Knowing this arena's ballistae count and location is all he needs. He hits the deck to dodge the volley, leaving the arena stunned by his insane speed. Another volley of arrows closed in from the side. The commander dances through the arrows. He just listens, and his body moves on instinct. Zack and his crew stared down at the spectacle. Masaru freezes as the commander bursts out laughing. Grinning wildly, he points to himself and begs for more, desperate to keep the rush alive. The man screams at a deafening pitch, demanding more. He stopped laughing. Things were looking grim. Time to switch tactics. Masaru drops from the wall. His opponent questions the shift, but Masaru realizes he's forced to play his ultimate trump card. Hand on the ground, he's risking it all to win. A massive hurricane erupts, swallowing the entire arena. Zack shields his face with wind. It looks like Masaru's Stenzen magic, but he isn't certain. He summons another portal and pulls out a new item while the commander watches, breathless. The hero swings the stick-like weapon, ready to strike. Lancelot had no clue what to do with this thing. He swings his massive blade, but it phases right through the enemy's weapon. Stunned, the knight finally realizes the truth. Claiming it's a tricycle shaft prototype, the hero uses strengthening magic to make the metal tank the commander's strikes. The knight readies another strike, sensing his enemy's end. Raining blows on Masaru, he mocks his trump card. He knows every trick, forcing Masaru to retreat. The commander wondered how he'd strike with that stick. He strides forward, certain of victory. Masaru hits the dirt. The knight shoulders his blade, savoring the win. Time's running out. If he keeps playing defense, he's finished. The commander senses something's off. Why is this guy only defending? The captain towers over the fallen hero. Did he quit? No way. With his custom ballista, he still has one shot at victory. The commander looked just like Bill Wilderman. The kid could have won if he tried, but he held back. Why stay defensive? He could win at any moment. Lancelot wonders, was it only a matter of time? That smirk snaps his fuse. He roars, raining down a relentless barrage of blows. The crowd's stunned. Why is the commander raging when he's inches from winning? Masaru tanked the barrage. He respected his foe's power, but his instincts were god tier. The commander looked around at his partner's warning, but it was already too late. Betting on basic physics, the hero aims high as the crossbows reload, but he completely forgets about air resistance. Lancelot cools down, stunned that Masaru actually knows how to shoot. He chuckled he couldn't shoot, so he switched to plan B. A black spot appears above. The group looks up in terror, it's hurtling right at them. He portals in, grabs the ballistas, and links the vault to the sky. He drops a rock from the Beastman's city, and it glitters, reflecting the world as it plummets. Masaru threw a rock early, corrected his near-miss with air control, and drained his mana. He buffed his body and went full defense. The kid braces behind his shield as the commander roars at the falling rock. If he survives this trump card, victory is his. The rock loomed close. He knew he couldn't survive the hit. Pure terror gripped his face. The stone is too fast and heavy to cut. If it lands, the entire arena is history. Zack's crew panics, bolting from their seats with no plan. In a shock move, Masaru summons the vault and absorbs the rock. The teleporter stretched, swallowing the entire rock. Masaru's friends are stunned silent. The commander admits defeat. As they relax, he reveals it was all a joke, the only way he could win. Even Lancelot is stunned now, just like his comrades. A win is a win. Now the captain answers to him. He later revealed he launched the rock before drawing his ballista's mid-jump onto the observation deck. Commander Masaru debriefs the fight at reception. He'd launched rocks during the arrow rain for safety, never expecting the enemy to dodge his ballistas. They bickered over the win. Lancelot loved being underestimated, while Zack sulked in the back. The captain screams cheater, but the hero counters. Survive one hit and I'll surrender. Fists were flying, so Zack snapped and told them both to chill. He finally snapped and scolded them for doing the same thing again on the way. The travelers gather as the rivals trade blame. Cook's had enough and shuts them down. Scowling, the commander accepted Asaru's victory yet again. He begs for calm and steps up to help Adelina. The knight wasn't just targeting the rock, but the entire mountain, and the terrifying part is, it might actually happen. The captain entered the hall, vowing a bigger win next time before letting the kid speak. He waited with a smug grin, wondering how the kid failed again. The survivors gathered at the table, but Masaru stood frozen, unsure how to report the incident to the commander. Cook was shocked to hear Stinson had fallen. The Dark Elf capital was the safest place around. Only grottos had the strength to strike here. Lancelot pondered, chin in hand. He pauses, then calls the hero. He screamed that it wasn't the time for duels or games. The kid was livid. Even as the commander's own creation, his rage wouldn't quit. Everyone stared in shock, but he had no clue why. Hands folded, he asks, "You agreed to the duel, so shouldn't your mind be made up?" Masaru defended his actions. The goddess was still investigating, but they'd already wiped out every monster there. Knight doubted they could pull it off and demanded to know how. Zack speaks for his friend. The captain won't believe it, but the kid blew everything up. Commander suspects a cover-up, but the guy insists he's innocent. The best move was the hardest, so Masaru scouted Stenson's outskirts before hitting the city. The captain asks if there's more to his report. The kid pauses, deep in thought. The hero reveals his true motive. He needs the city to help the Dark Elves rebuild and shelter their refugees. Cook weighs the request, but Lancelot warns, this is a city of knights and their protection has limits. But the kid had a deal for them. He'll trade with the Beastmen to get the materials to rebuild Stenson. Cook and Commander Lance are hyped to build a city. The heroes stoked to hear that. The commander doubted they'd trade with the humans, who enslaved and treated them like animals. They knew their weapons would be turned against them, but he never saw it coming. He was certain it wouldn't happen. They'd never even consider it. Masaru points at his rival, asking if the commander rigs human beastmen fights, then challenges the boss to fight him directly. Lancelot chuckled. He didn't need backup. This kid was a mountain to conquer, the only challenge he'd ever need. Erdem cuts in. Are they even capable? He thinks Gratis should get the help instead. The knight backed him up. He might actually be right. He leans back, dropping his take. Aram's port is the priority, not the kingdom. Trade will revive the city and strengthen the local knights. Cooking Erdem backed him 100%. Lancelot argues nations exist to help people, so they can't just abandon them to their fate. Nisaru asks if he's in. The commander accepts, marking a massive win for the port and its people. Zack, Masaru, and Arena beamed, satisfied with the result. The knight reminds the hero of their pre-duel promise to favor the workers. Civilian details can wait. If he has more for the commander, now's the time. Hero wants the room to himself tonight, shocking his friends. The commander kept his pre-duel promise and agreed instantly. No issues. If the kid's planning something big, the man wants in, but the boy quickly clarifies it's just a party with friends. He also scouted for a place to stockpile food for the occasion. The commander realized these hunting grounds were the key. The hero needs a mountain of crabs, and he's getting way too hyped thinking about it. They needed crabs in this coastal city, any kind, even freshwater, but the three locals acted weird. Erdogan reluctantly reveals their secret crab fishing spot. Night fell, but he wouldn't miss his chance. Erdame caught on and decided to use Masaru as his tool. The party tenses up, but the standoff breaks as the men lead them to their rooms. Masaru's angry shouts echo as he demands the truth, but he's told to just rest for tomorrow's crab hunt. The group hits the coast and he's hyped. The fisherman's trail leads here. As the boys hauled nets, Masaru knew he had to learn their skills, stuff he'd only ever seen on TV. The commander closed in with a full night company, but the kid didn't get why they were geared for war. The man snapped back, playing dumb and pointing to the side. Nearby, a small island sat in unique currents teeming with crabs and fish. They de-mentioned it yesterday, but its black color remained a mystery. The commander says island killers swarm this season, ruining the catch. Man-sized bees swarm them. Masaru is horrified. In these grounds, the hunters are the prey. He slashes 2 insects with a single strike. Horror and disgust flooded his face. He inspects the body, confirming Lancelot's warning. The island's man-eating queen bee is out hunting with her swarm. This is why the knights were. A window identifies the spotted army meat-eating bee. Their offspring eat meat within a year. This monster is lethal. No wonder the knights came armored. He was livid. Lancelot crossed the line, dragging him here just to be stung by bees. The commander promised backup, but if he's over the crabs, he's free to leave. Bees swarm the shore as Night orders everyone to defend against humanity's enemies. The commander led a precise search and destroy mission, with Masaru and his crew following close behind. Hero scanned the nectar data, but he's cut short. The bees have already hit land. Knights clash with the insects as even Arena shreds through the swarm. The swarm multiplies, surrounding her. One gets sliced, but another targets the elf's back. She's warned just in time. Zack blasts the bug's wing, saving the girl. He drops another specimen and brags about his perfect aim. Shocked, Arena asks the man what it is. Zack grips the one-handed crossbow gifted by the young man. In his hands, it's a deadly asset. The knight commander's impressed. The hero brought some interesting backup. He shouted for Masaru to handle the raiders, but he'd vanished. He turns back to find an impossible sign covered in writing. He left a message. He's headed to the island. Don't look for him. Lancelot spots a swimmer near the island and roars in shock. Her face was a mask of pure, deep melancholy. She told everyone to leave her alone, but an unexpected message just arrived. Seeing Masaru's message, she perks up and starts reading. A dinner invite. She's blushing. He hits the shore and crawls out. Message to Isla sent. Now it's time to prep the dinner. He summons a teleporter, straining to pull something out. Empty, he left it in his original bag, so he decides to use strengthening magic instead. What's the worst that could happen? He suits up in his beekeeper gear and vows to cook Victinius a feast. Masaru's stunned by the massive bee, but the nest is even bigger. Usually he has to crush the combs for honey, but not this time. His smoke neutralized the bees, letting him safely climb into the nest. He looks up and spots something overhead. Bees flood the entrance. He pissed off the whole swarm, and now they're out for blood. Shaking off his fear, the hero remembers his mission and finally jumps into action. Next day, a guest hits a very important right on schedule. She frowned, terrified he'd starve to death. She reaches the door, unsure if it's the right room. Victinius enters to a warm welcome and a set table, where Masaru's already waiting. She stared at his bandaged face, realizing he was still alive. A girl approaches, asking if she's with Illa. Victinius didn't notice her at first, but the goddess arrived early for their promised dinner. She forgot everything after Victinius answered gratis. She's just a magic teacher in Beastman. She sits down proudly, debt settled, and tells them to finish dinner so they can head back. Hero-S never seen his girl this cold. His second girlfriend asks what's wrong, but he just smiles back. He serves the first course, teasing her to cook it right so she doesn't have any regrets. Regretful, the goddess closed one eye and descended for a single purpose. The reason, dinner. Masaru pulled fresh food from storage and served his guest. The skill kept his food perfectly fresh, but his friend was stunned he'd waste such a powerful ability on a meal. He offers the special dinner, but she dryly snaps that she already knows. Stop repeating it. She takes a bite, and her eyes instantly widen in amazement. She cleared the plate instantly, leaving the chefs thrilled. The goddess gulps the last bite, satisfied. The second girl asks how it tastes. Vicinius claimed she was just checking for anything suspicious, but she demanded the cook explain what the dish actually was. She's ready to sing. The aroma is incredible, and the salty meat and veggies dance on her tongue. He wasn't done. Masaru kept pulling more dishes from storage. The table's packed with delicacies, and every dish is made with honey. She doubts honey goes with everything, but he finds a way to make it fit. He melts honey to tenderize meat and uses it in salads to kill the bitterness. He learned this dish from a villager at his old delivery job, but as he explains how honey fits desserts, the girl just keeps eating and nodding, driving him crazy. The guests love the food and tell the sister watching nearby to try it. Illa refused. She was busy cooking, but seeing her sister smile mattered more. Victinius realized the feast was all for her. Her fussy sister still invited her to eat. Stenson left her crushed, but she's ready to snap out of it and move on. She wouldn't dream of worrying her sister. Isla was moved, her heart swelling with joy. Masaru interrupts, demanding praise for the meal he slaved over. His sister laughs, telling the guest to show some gratitude. Is that really necessary? Seeing his girlfriend look way better than when she arrived made him ecstatic. Victinius awkwardly apologized for worrying her friends. Hiro seats his assistant. Time for the main course. Crab hits the table, and the girls go wild. He tries explaining the unique Aryan port crabs, but the girls ignore the lore and dig right in. He hated the interruption, but that's just how these sisters are. With nowhere to go and a debt to pay, he rushed to feed them as promised. He carves the crab piece by piece as the guests wait. He hands Victinius the first leg to try. She bites a piece straight from his hand, catching him off guard. This isn't the girlfriend he knows. She loved being hand-fed that delicious crab. Masaru snorted in shame. What was that all about? Isla snaps him back. She's up next. She gapes for her crab, he snaps. The sisters mimic each other, and to him, it's a moral crime. Got us again, she demands a crab. Illa joins in, and they tear him to shreds. They devoured the entire crab. These goddesses kept pushing his heart's limits until their desires were satisfied. Dinner ends, the sisters shout their thanks in unison, leaving the guy totally embarrassed. Sis finally eats her fill. Hiro asks for dessert, but they're saving it for later. Illa remembers Masaru's gift and summons her storage. She pulls out her quest reward, a skilled ticket. Stenson's research and the girl both prove he saved her. Victinius wants that skilled ticket. After the capital chaos, her sister is rewarding the crew. Nostalgic for the gacha, he hits the gear machine again. A refusal kills his hype, but then the ticket starts to glow. Cards surround Isla as she decides Masaru's fate and grants his skill. A card flies up, and the goddess tells him to touch it. The hero touches it, instantly erupting in a blinding light. It ended fast, now he needs a new skill, his sister said. The girls demand to see his new skill, and he's forced to give in. He checks his stats and spots the 6-inch skill accuracy. Victinius dismissed the skill as boring, but someone besides her sister wanted to see it in action. More skills unlock: Stick Technique 2, Spear Technique 2, and Iron Technique 2. She screams in the light, unlocking 3 new skills. She had no clue what ticket she'd handed over. These skills are bizarre. A goddess calls the ticket rare, forged with massive divine power. Illa worked her heart out, yet the guy didn't say a word. Masaru thanked his friend, grateful for any skill, especially a gift from a goddess. Blushing, she dodges the question. Kindness or love, she doesn't care. She's just thrilled things are going her way. The sister was lost. She didn't understand love or how these two even started dating. Jealousy drives her to attack, leaving Masaru disgusted with these sisters. This goddess is acting like a bratty schoolgirl, prying into why he doesn't like her. Victinius strikes a weird pose. Toying with a goddess's heart was bold, but now he'll face divine wrath. Her prophecy: in 2 weeks, 2 women will judge him. His silhouette reflects in her eyes. He laughed, thinking she was just delaying his punishment, but his friend warned him to wait. He'd find out soon enough. 2 weeks later, the prophecy hits. The hero's on his knees before 2 livid women, one a beastkin. The women grill Masaru for breaking his promise, accusing him of partying and demanding answers. He claimed he was swamped, juggling a duel with Lancelot, dinner with goddesses, Aram port negotiations, and a trade meeting. Zack refuses to defend his friend, claiming he was just fishing, while Arena tells the beastmen he was just having fun on an island. He was found guilty, but punishment was the least of his worries. Beastmen finished loading the carts, and prep was finally complete. Beastmen marched down the main street toward their new homes, many still in disbelief. Meanwhile, the girls scold the hero for not warning them about the massive crowd. He blames the commander. The boss ordered the beastmen's slaves brought there after tracking the hero's path. Housing was the priority, but food and jobs were still a mystery. Masaru stepped up, promising to handle the farms and livestock himself. He had it all under control. The hero vows no more unemployment and no more hunger. His girlfriend noticed the street coming to life. Beastmen emerged from the crowd, closing in on Masaru and his companion. Two kids approached their saviors, eyes gleaming with joy. They finally had a home and a future to look forward to. He's just paying his debt, now go help the others build. She agreed, but had another question. She wanted to know the city's name. Days later, Masaru's crew meets at the headman's. Zack reveals the plan: fix the roads, then sell fish and food. She cuts him off, worried the 10-day trek to the sea will rot the fish. Zack reassures her. The kid's special technique makes that a non-issue. She realized he meant smoking food. Now they could finally make pickles and fish bait. Zack still needed answers from his friend. He looked so strange, everyone went dead silent. She asked if he was always like this, but her friend defended him. He was just picking a name for the city. No time for distractions. She had to focus on the meeting. Masaru snaps at Adelina. The city's name is all that matters. Leaping up, he proves names change everything. A city's fate is written in its name. He's losing it, ranting about how no guilds would invite him in his game because of his dagger username, and changing it cost real money. Zack realized his friend meant home and wanted to name the city together. Adelina insists their friend build the city and name it. No debate. Masaru cleared his head with hard labor, hauling lumber, feeding goats, and moving stone until sundown. A week later, Zack's friend looks drained, and he's only getting worse. Excavating Beastman City, Masaru had to focus. This was his project from the start, and his massive find even caught Adelina's eye. The hero snaps back to life, instantly recalling his mission. He used his map skill to track the excavation's progress. Time's running out. He peers into the tunnel and shouts for Adelina. She held a self-digging shovel that did all the work. Just plant it in the dirt and the machine takes over. One touch and his friend immediately felt his strength drain. Masaru explains the tool uses the wielder's magic to carve perfect holes through solid rock, making construction a breeze. Zack stunned by the source, a magic mudworm the hero once hunted. It used mana to stay hidden, so Masaru and Illa copied the move. His friend noticed the tool didn't even disturb the ground. The catch: it needs a rare magic stone to work. Hiring 300 workers is cheaper than burning cash on this. He stops mid-thought, kills the experiment, and calls the girl. A pipe with a valve drops from above. Pressure's too high, so he goes manual. If the girl gets burned, the commander will skin him alive. She explained her plan: shove this thing deep into the ground. She climbs out of the hole, and he apologizes for the weight. Zack and Adelina hunt for the location. Finding it saves the whole city. Turning the valve, he overhears their conversation. His map skill confirms the location. They just have to keep going. The valve trembles. He grips it, shouting a warning as a teleporter spawns behind him. Victini bursts from the portal, screaming at the guy to answer if he hears him. Hands shaking, he let go. A goddess. What did she want now? The hero was fuming. She's livid he won't choose, but he's got zero memory of it. They name the city, and the goddess gives the hero a fierce reminder. Masaru still hasn't named the city, stalling Victinia's for days. Zack and Adelina are stunned by her appearance. He finally remembered the name issue. He'd totally blanked. The goddess keeps cursing at her screens until a massive tremor hits, making Zack think it's an earthquake. Masaru spots the valve and screams for everyone to run. Water blasts skyward, and Adelino's thrilled. It's a hot spring. Masaru gets scorched as the girl shields up with divine power. She finally knows their true goal. He used his healing skill, and she was dying to test it out. The guy howls in pain as Zack vows to restore the source, while Adelina knows a goddess visit would make it a massive attraction. Friend asks about the geyser, but his girl says wait. They traveled far to find it, and leveling the land will take days. Goddess praises Masaru. Turns out he's actually useful. Still shaking but healed, he gets a sudden idea. Name the town Hot Spring. His friends watched him spiral, looking worse than ever as his obsession turned creepy. 63%. Let's try to make it even shorter. He stops to rest, his friend backing him up and telling him to stay safe. He lay on the cliffside grass, right where he first entered this world. A goddess appears, crashing his idol. He asks if she needs anything, but she only cares if he's mad. He brushed it off, used to her attitude, but Victinius knew she was fuming. Everything changed. The hero missed his naming deadline, so the girl tracked him down for a scolding while the goddess smiled. She envied Masaru's power to choose, but he didn't get it. all he ever did was overthink. She created the world, but its creatures chose the names. Victinius was crushed. She loved her world but couldn't leave a single mark. She claimed her name would become legend. The hero scowled. Could she farm like Illa? Impossible. Victinius was the creator and couldn't interfere. He bolts up at Ilisifier's name, shocking the girl. He stood up, panicked. The hero finally knew his real name. Ventalia, wait, he shouted the name, introducing the city. From now on, it's Ventalia. Let's try. The goddess asks again. She butchers the word, but it fits the vibe and the girl loves the sound. Masaru named it after goddesses from another world. Vicinius was thrilled to finally leave her mark, but the man revealed this was just the beginning. Once the temple's finished, she can visit the city, enjoy hot water, and finally leave her mark. He claims he doesn't care, but she reaches out and tugs his glove. She grabs his hand, whispering thanks. He plays dumb, asking what she said, but the goddess just gives a satisfied nod. She stuck her tongue out, whispering that he was surprisingly bold. She bolts down the slope while he fumes, forced to apologize since his friend won't deal with a self-proclaimed, useless goddess. Between dimensions, a being watches them on a screen, chanting their names. Masaru picks a sword while locals buzz about the city's new name and finished construction. Rumors of nearby gnomes spread, but a sudden shout breaks his focus. Zack approaches with his bag, asking if he's packed yet. Hiro escorts the carriage, as his friend departs for the capital to report on Stenson and return the king's soldiers. Masaru's blindsided. If his partner warned him sooner, he could have carved that goddess statue for the king. Our hero was crushed, but Zack stayed loyal despite his own grief, never realizing his friend actually cared. He scrambled to hide his feelings with an excuse about losing his workers, but his friend saw right through him. Soldiers love the spot, so he promises they'll be back in a month. Masaru listed the month's potential, the city expanding, the temple finishing, and the best part, the hype of building something new. Knight would handle Lancelot, letting the kid focus entirely on his work. Confused by the concern, the hero's friend reveals the warning he received after the duel. Zack's memories reveal the commander's plan. He's been ordered to spy on Masaru. Lancelot saw it mid-duel. The hero's power is infinite. Summoning siege engines and raining boulders, he fights like a god. The commander feared he could level kingdoms at will and likely cause the Stenson incident. Zack listened silently. Defending his friend, he says there's a difference between can and will, and the hero is the one who can. Knight's glad the boy trusts his friend, betting his partner won't cause chaos, but he demands an update if things go south, so the boy asks what happens if his. His face darkens. He'll do his duty as Aram's commander and a knight of the kingdom. Still reeling from last night, Masaru gets cut off as she throws it straight into his mouth. His friend immediately regretted telling him. Zack warned him of the met in a strange way, becoming the bridge between hero and king. Masaru's a close friend, warned not to screw up while he's away. He calms his buddy, reminding him he's still waiting for that gift from the capital. Screams echo from the forest. Hiro blames his friend over the handshake, but he denies everything. The kid mocks him and bolts for the woods. Knowing it's not Zack, he tells him to wait if it's not serious while the cart rolls on. A sign warns of a nearby monster nest, so he recalls the offer and rushes in. Robed figures flee the monsters, ducking low in a desperate spot. A tiny bird attacks. A wind-cutting quail. What's a monster like that doing in gratis? They tell him that in this world, even golems rain from the sky. Birds swarm the travelers. Exhausted from the trek, the girl shuts her eyes in terror as a black-eyed bird stares her down. Masaru whistles and the birds retreat. One lands on his hand as he praises its smarts. The travelers are stunned. Who is this guy, and how does he control them? He dodges the question. He bred monsters here and posted signs to keep people away from the danger. He didn't buy the monster meat story, but the sign promised a payoff, so they headed in for a score. He realized they weren't robbers, just curious people in a tough spot. Hiro was right. These ex-adventurers fled Stenson after a golem siege, unaware the other refugees nearby were actually elves. Rumors of a new city drew them in, but their supplies were running dry. The elf thinks Masaru's a skeptic, but he's actually just stunned. The Beastman city finally got a name, and word spread fast. Now, travelers are swarming in for homes and help. One traveler asks, will they pay for trespassing? He smiles, no worries, this land is free. Plus, Esmeralda and the others will be hyped to know so many were saved. The elf is stunned, but the boy leads them to prove the rumors. They hit the city fountain, where the hero vows to show them Ventalia. The travelers are floored by the massive capital, a sprawling city home to beastmen, humans, and even elves. Paved streets, a 3-story commercial hub, and zero trash. But the water system, a total mystery. The rumors were true and then some, but he's still on edge. He couldn't understand why everyone loved the man who brought them. On the streets, the crowd cheered for Masaru. Young for an elf, but he clearly ran the city. Adelina grabs the elf's shoulder. He was right, Masaru built the city, but he's still dumping the responsibility on her. She snaps and slaps him for bringing more migrants without asking. He plays humble, but she snaps, warning him not to push his luck. They found him themselves, but they won't understand a thing without his help. The traveler asks his name, but the boy hesitates, unsure how to answer. Pointing to the statue house, he reveals he lives in the temple, rules the city, manages supplies, and loves to create. The elves are reeling. This temple was built for a god, reserved only for holy servants, but it's a total shock. He hides his temple home to keep his link with Fictinius a secret. He told them first names were perfectly fine. He adds that Stenson's queen, Esmeralda, is currently staying in town. The travelers won't starve, but they can't hold back, and the elves are thrilled. They chatted happily while Masaru and his girl watched. At dinner, the group met to bond, but Adelina was clearly anxious. Filthy and ragged, she had to fix them up before dinner. She asks when they last bathed or did laundry. Turns out, it's been 10 days. She understood. They'd head home, fix their clothes, and hit the bath. Adelina asks the hero to open the hot spring early. He summoned everyone to the spring for a sunset check, but the girl questioned why it was even necessary. There was no check, he just wanted to test the source first. Masaru soaks in the hot water, admiring the spring he built with his own skills. It's pure Japanese vibes, total peace. Rumors are spreading, and history might repeat itself. He needs more space, so he'll recruit the newcomers to help him revive the city. The city is no longer just one man, it's the nation he dreamed of. Suddenly, a voice rings out. She won and wanted to rest, even if he was already in her spot. She beat him to the water, and he's annoyed he wasn't the first one in.